guys, they're toward the bottom of the standings. They're still a competitive club and, a division rival. They're still going to play hard, and you want to be able to come out and maybe clinch the series win here tonight and make things hopefully easy tomorrow on Sunday.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Devin mentioned last night as we talked about things. This is a Florence team that has nothing to lose right now. I mean, it's everything to gain, nothing to lose, and that puts them in a pretty unique situation.
Yeah, very unique, and for a lot of these guys, they're trying to play spoiler at this point, and for some of these guys, maybe they are playing for their contracts either with Florence for next year or with another ball club. These most of these players in the Frontier League, they kind of gone around the carousel a few times with different clubs, well traveled, well journeyed, and they're still doing that. You may not see these guys with Florence next year, perhaps, but you might see them on another league club come next season.
Do want to take a look through the Frontier League standings as they sit today. Washington, the only team in the league that has a clinched playoff spot. Evansville is 6.5 games back, still has the chance to win the division. All Washington needs to clinch the West is 2 wins, or a combination of a win and an Evansville loss, or 2 Evansville losses. That's the magic number now for Washington. Evansville and Schaumburg tied here at second. We will have one of the 2 teams bounce out in front because right now Schaumburg has a game in hand. They'll have to play one on Monday. After Monday, though, we're even in games played. That's when we're going to see the final stretch towards the end. Florence and Windy City, the 2 teams here in the West who have been eliminated. Over in the East, Quebec has a chance to be the first team on that side of the bracket that gets their spot clinched. New Jersey is on the cups of elimination tonight as well. In the East, we saw Ottawa and Tri-City both make extreme jumps in the last couple of days just by 1 win here or 1 loss there. That's an Ottawa team that's been in second almost all year long, and now this whole week they've been out of a playoff spot. So got to be careful, really in both divisions, but especially in the East right now. If you are not on even footing, you could be out of the playoffs in the blink of an eye. So, this is what you really hoped for at the beginning of the year, that you had competition going into the last week of the season. I think that's exactly what we've got in this league.
Yeah, and then expanding the playoff picture, to at least having 3 teams, the first place teams, the division winners get buys, but expanding it just creates more opportunity for more teams that maybe have a chance.
Yeah, as it stands now, if the playoffs were ready to start right now, Evansville would be hosting Schaumburg for the 1-game playoff. That would be on that Tuesday night, September the 6th. The winner of that game would host Washington in Game 1 of the divisional series and then travel to Washington for the final 2 if need be. Of course, there's still lots of baseball to play, still a lot of questions in the air, and it all starts tonight. Evansville with a chance to move a little bit closer to their playoff magic number. Right now it's at 5. A win tonight and a loss from Lake Erie could have them just a couple nights away from punching their ticket to the 2022 postseason. We'll take a break, and on the other side, I sit down with some people from Centerpoint Energy and hear what they have going on right now and some goals they hope to accomplish here in these next few months. Evansville Otters baseball coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Working Distributors Evansville. Our thanks to Working Distributors being great partners of the Evansville Otters. We take your attention to the mound, where we introduce you to tonight's starting man for the Otters. And it's Austin Gossman, the former Southern Indiana prospect, who will look to right the ship and get back into a little bit better of a groove. In his last 3 games, he's gone a combined 14 innings, and in that time he's given up a total of 17 earned runs. It has been tough for him, certainly looking to get back into the winning side of things. Had won his prior 3 before that. Enters with a record of 7-6, a 4.13 ERA. And it's Gossman on the mound. Felix returns behind the plate. Pitcher catcher battery, sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Or give them a call at 812-475-9000. With that, we head to the plate and show you through the starting 9 men for the Florence Yalls tonight. Another lefty-heavy lineup. Alberti Chavez kicks things off as a righty, but then it's 3 straight featuring the 3-hole hitter, Brennan Price, one of the most electric bats in this entire league. Keep an eye on him in this ball game. Ethan Stern is right there in the 5-hole. He's the second and final righty in this lineup. Another guy with a lot of power in that bat. Eager to see what we see out of the bottom 3, Bryant Flette, Wady Almonte, and Rodney Tinney, a couple of bats that are looking to heat back up after a little bit of a dry spell. You know, you've obviously had the chance now to watch a lot of Austin Gossman baseball, and it seems that when he's had his toughest moments, he has bounced back well.
Yeah, I mean, multiple times he's been able to show a sense of being able to forget quickly. And obviously at this time of year, that's the most important thing. And he is a very mentally tough person and pitcher for the Evansville Otters, and really for a good chunk of the middle part of the season, he was their number 1 guy, performing really well.
It kind of feels like right there when Parker Brahm's contract was purchased there in early July, Gossman took on a heavy load on this team, and for a while seemed to be the guy leading the starting rotation.
Yeah, especially, I mean, because you had Watland pitching well, then he had that stretch where he was on the injured list. Gossman really stepped up during that span.
First pitch home to Chavez, high and inside, ball 1. And of course, for Austin Gossman, one of the most impressive performances he's had all year came back at Schaumburg. At Schaumburg, he pitched 9 full innings, gave up just 1 run on 9 hits through his full 9 innings. That was a high point for him all year. That was right after the signing of Brahms. Called strike will even things up for Alberti Chavez, the leadoff man for this Florence Yalls team. Defense playing with a little bit of a shift to the left side. Khalil playing halfway between second and third, and way out in front of one is Alberti Chavez for a swinging strike. Second to last game here at historic Bosse Field here in the 2022 regular season. Great crowd on hand. Fireworks planned for after the game. Should be a fun night for baseball. Here's we've got a great night. No clouds in the sky. Sun's out, a little breeze as well. Swinging strike 3. Gossman really ruled that at bat, especially in those last couple of pitches. German American Bank strikeout is what kicks off this one.
Yeah, a great finishing pitch to that bat. That hard, sharp slider in a great location. Tough for any right-handed batter to reach if they do offer to make any contact.
Well, I think that's been the biggest part for Gossman, especially in some of those games that he struggled in. It's been the leadoff man that seems to get to him, whether it's a walk or a base hit, and then it all just kind of caves from there. That's an important out to get.
And usually it's because he falls behind early in the count where he can't establish that finishing pitch. You know, the pitch sequencing, it kind of goes off when you don't get that first pitch strike.
Brings up Luke Harper, the catcher this evening for this Florence squad. Batted in the 7-hole last night. Got promoted all the way up here to the 2 spot. He fouls one off to the left side. Do want to walk you through the defensive alignment for the Otters today. Just a little bit different than what we were used to. Rosario Gordon McNamee left to right in the outfield like usual, but Dakota Phillips back to the field. He will play third base today alongside George Khalil, Andy Armstrong, and Zach Biermann in their normal positioning. Justin Felix returns behind the plate. Good to see him having a second straight game after the couple injuries he's worked through. 1-1 on the outside half. Good for a called strike. Otters return to a pretty much straight up alignment around the infield now with the lefty Luke Harper. Again, takes one to the outside.
Interested to see not only Dak being back in the offensive lineup, but back at third base.
Yeah, his first time back out on the field. Interesting to see how this will go for him.
I mean, really, third base has kind of been a revolving door, it feels like, this season for the Otters. Not really had that one go-to guy to lock up that position.
High outside pitch will take us to a full count now. Gossman is not one of those guys that's really affected by the lefty or righty matchup. He has almost even at-bats against the two, and the difference in batting average is 1/1000th of a difference. So it's not like a lefty or a righty matchup favors or hurts him more. A strike three will take us to back-to-back German American Bank strikeouts. Perfect start for Austin Gossman, one that he can start to fall into a rhythm in.
Batting third, designated hitter, 35, Brendan Price.
Especially impressive that he gets them both done swinging, just getting guys to chase at this point. Well, the last time we saw Brendan Price enter a game for the first time, he sent one over the right field wall into the Corona patio deck last night. Big guy at the dish now. First pitch in is low and inside for ball one. Really makes you wonder what Brendan Price could do on a team that had some batters that got on base a little more consistently, because that's been the trouble for Florence. The reason they have struggled to win games is they're not getting on base to help their big bats bring them around. And my goodness, Brendan Price has hit another ball very hard to center. Gordon running out towards it. It's gone. Back-to-back nights with a solo home run from Brendan Price in the first. Really hit that ball well. I tell you what, he is on a great stretch of baseball, now entering the top 2 in the league in RBIs, one of the top 5 in the league in home runs. He is having a phenomenal end to this season.
Yeah, unfortunately, the execution of the pitch, not exactly what the Otters had hoped for. A fastball elevated a little bit more than Gossman wanted, I think, and for a big, tall guy, an elevated fastball, that's obviously something Brendan Price can get to.
But one of the things that Austin Gossman told us here on the Otters Digital Network a couple of weeks ago when he hopped in for a broadcast, solo shots don't kill you. They don't lose ball games. So,
and the thing is, last night Brendan Price got that home run early on, but by the end of it, it didn't affect the game really that much because, one, he had Brett Adcock on the mound and he locked in the rest of the way. But it was a minor blip really early in the game last night, and the Otters were able to bounce back and not be phased and get the win.
Well, it's backed up by a Ray Zuber single hit hard right back up the middle. This is where Austin Gossman needs to get a out with authority and slam the door now. First pitch home to Ethan Stern. He entered the series with back-to-back games with home runs. Did struggle a little bit in last night's game. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Gossman gets set for the 1-0 pitch. And it's a beautiful one for a called strike one. So the run over at first is Ray Zuber. Grab that 2-out single. Ethan Stern at the plate now, the second and final righty of the starting 9 for Florence. I think this is the most lefty-heavy lineup we've seen all year across this entire Frontier League.
I think it ties the most left. I'll have to look back at the schedule. I know there was a home matchup earlier this season. Where actually there might have only been one righty and the other one was a switch hitter.
A 1-2 chance for Gossman to end the inning. There goes the runner. Ball stays high. The throw out looks good, but just in there in time is Zuber with a stolen base.
I feel like it was that shortened New York series. I feel like the Boulders had a lefty heavy lineup when they came to town in those first couple games before, of course, that last one not played.
So 2-2. Count now even for Stern after the close pitch missed high. There's now a runner at second with 2 outs. Gossman will fire home. His foul tip just gets away from Felix, and we'll have to go again. Y'alls are wearing their powder blue tops with Y'alls written across the front in that script writing. The numbers on the back are white with the red striping around them. Otters are in their primary blue for the first time in a few nights. Script Otters written on the front in white and white numbers on the back. Let's try again on the 2-2 pitch to Ethan Stern. This one is sent high, but shallow to right field. McNamee will chase in a bit and bring it in for out number 3. Second straight night. Florence grabs a 1-0 lead here in the top of the first off a Brennan Price home run. We've played one half. It's Florence 1, Evansville 0 on the Otters Digital Network. And we take you here into the bottom half of the first inning. Jeremy O'Volley takes the mound for the Y'alls. He'll face off against the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Miles Gordon. He takes a pitch high for ball 1. Miles Gordon's second straight night up here at the top of the order, and his count evens after the aggressive pitch. Volley has an interesting step back before his pitch is fired home, and this one is zoomed up in the infield. It's the second baseman underneath it, and making the catch is Ethan Stern.
It's almost like an old school windup.
Ovalle this year with Florence has pitched in 8 games now, 0 for 6 record. And his ERA sits at 6.23.
Batting second in left field 13, Brian Rosario.
Prior to that, he pitched in the Miami affiliation for quite a few years in the Rookie League, Single A, and High A as well. Brian Rosario, the switch-hitting left fielder, heads to the plate now, and with the righty pitcher, he'll be hitting lefty tonight. First pitch home is a called strike on the outside. Another ball popped up, this time to the left side, but running out of room. Will be the third baseman, Bryant Flette.
Brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best.
I wish that...
Which I heard that he's our strikeout batter of the game again.
Indeed.
Which last time, he said on a little message that for some reason, conspiracy against him that he keeps being the strikeout batter of the game. He couldn't figure it out, but he was going to hit mucho doubles.
Half swing from Rosario. They say no, he did not go around, so his count extends to 1-2.
Which in that game that he set up before the game, he did get one double, but he also struck out. So
we definitely take it easy on some of our strikeout batters here. They're in Washington. Those fans, just since up there it's a beer batter, they just start chanting beer.
A lot more on the line.
I mean, it is aggressive. I mean, one of the nights at Washington, they chose Tanner Craig, and the poor rookie had him chanting at him. Hard ball hit out towards center, but making a good work over towards it is Almonte, and they'll bring it in for the second out.
I guess not as many fans for the lottery tickets, I guess.
So we go to the 3-hole hitter with the first baseman, Zach Biermann, strides in. The lefty has snuck his way atop the Otters' RBI charts. Has 51 now. Between him and J.R. Davis, who has the night off, a routine night off for him, these two have really found ways to consistently bring Otters home, and that's been the thing that separated the losing streak there on the road at Joliet and the winning streak now. 1-0 is launched high and foul to the right side. Working that way is the first baseman, Johnson, but it will work too far out of play, and they'll make a catch off the roof.
And I'll just say, too, during that little losing stretch for the Otters, it was a kind of a similar story that you just mentioned that the Florence had. Unfortunately, during that time for the Otters, they kind of flip-flop between Mac, me and Gordon at the top of the order, and both of them were in cold spells, not getting on in front of the RBI guys. Now they're getting back on base and setting up these RBI guys in the middle of the order quite well.
Ball taken for a called strike 2 on Biermann. And, man, it's now a what-if situation, of course, and you never like to play that game, but Evansville splits half of that road trip. They might still be really in the push for the West Division Championship right now. Who would have thought that this Otters team was going to go such on a run, and also Washington would really struggle for a while. Wild Things are 4-6 in their last 10 games, and it's opened the door wide open for Evansville to not necessarily control their own destiny, but if they keep winning, they've got a shot to steal this West Division.
Of course, in hindsight, that stretch came against teams that theoretically on paper, Evansville should have been able to at least win those series. But, of course, you got to take every team seriously day in, day out.
Biermann zooms one to the right side. It's into the stands, but everyone is going to be all right over there.
Yeah, on paper, those are hopefully series and games that the Otters would have and should have won.
And I think it's, even if the Otters are not able to take the West Division Championship, which of course would be upsetting for them, but even if they're not able to do that, as a swinging strike 3 ends the inning, those are games that reset the mind and have set up the Otters to make a good push here towards the end. So we've played one inning here on a beautiful Saturday evening, and the Otters trail 1-0 thanks to a Brendan Price home run in the first. Don't go anywhere. Second inning coming at you next. Top of the second inning, and as we come back here to historic Bosse Field, take another look at the Frontier League standings. Washington, the only team in the league that has clinched their playoff spot. Outside of them, and then Gateway, Florence, and Empire State, who have all been eliminated from contention, it is anybody's game. The only one to keep an eye on tonight are the Gateway Grizzlies, who could be eliminated for playoff contention tonight with a loss at Schaumburg. I know it hurts to hear, Otters fans, but tonight you've got to be Gateway Grizzly fans. You want to see Schaumburg drop one of that series so that Evansville does have a little bit of a buffer to help them out with that one-game advantage that Schaumburg has in the games to be played. Axel Johnson, Bryant Flette, and Wady Almonte due up in the second inning. First pitch home, good for a called strike one on Johnson. Last night, Axel Johnson struck out twice, flew out, and grounded into a double play. That double play was at that point, game-ending double play. 0-1, taken for another called strike.
Yeah, that's kind of an exciting play to end the game on, getting that double play. And for Logan Sawyer, who was frustrated with himself allowing that first guy to get on.
Yeah, I think the Otters have a ton to be happy with in the recent performances of Logan Sawyer, especially. As an 0-2 comes home to Johnson, bouncing in for ball one. Because every single one of them has put him in a tough situation, whether it was that weird 10th, 11th inning game or one like last night giving up the leadoff walk, or even those couple games at Washington. He's been tested this last couple of weeks, and I think having him have to work through a little bit more than his typical game this year has put him and the Otters in a good place going into the playoffs if they've got a Logan Sawyer who's really feeling confident. Swinging strike three, Johnson chases out of the zone. It is the third German American Bank strikeout of the day for Austin Gossman.
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, I guess win or die situation when in the postseason, you're going to maybe have to ask Logan Sawyer, a veteran of this club, to go 2 innings perhaps.
So that'll bring up the third baseman, Bryant Flette. He appeared in the middle of yesterday's game as a pinch runner and then finished off with his one at-bat, which was a ground out to the second baseman, Armstrong. Starts off with a pitch high and outside, ball one.
Came in the game, took over for Craig Massey, which I don't know if you were able to find out that was an anticipated substitution or if there was an injury involved.
It certainly looked like an injury. As a 1-0 comes home for Flette and fouled away to the left side. Massey beat out a double play on his way to first, but on that play, he looked labored running down there, almost like he was grabbing towards that hamstring. And I kind of wondered, okay, are we going to see a change? Are we going to see him at least take some time to maybe walk around over there at first? We didn't really see that. And then as soon as he got to second, almost without any break, they already had a new man out there to replace him. So the count's even for Flette. Pitch comes home low and inside, and Gossman will fall behind 2-1 on the count.
It's a lot of moving parts to Flette's stance, and if you're able to throw off that timing as a pitcher, I could see where you might be able to have some strikeout success against him.
Two-1, good for a called strike on that high outside quadrant. Gossman slowing things down a little with that one. Good, solid crowd here at Bosse Field tonight. I believe there's 9 different big groups in attendance having picnics tonight. Good to see so many friends, families, coworkers coming and spending the night with the Otters. 2-2 off the handle of the bat back into the netting will keep us even at 2-2.
Yeah, that pitch stayed up, and the way Felix set up, it looked like maybe the plan was to try to bury that toward the back foot.
Certainly seemed like they got mixed up. One wanted one thing and one wanted the other. Defense with if anything, a tiny shift to the right side towards first base as a 2-2 gets set to come home to Bryant Flette. Pushed out towards the left field area and down for a base hit. Rosario will get to it, but it's down for a single, the third hit of the day for this Florence Y'alls club.
You gotta tip your cap there. That was pretty good hitting there by Flette. A pitch down, and he kind of just went with it. Slaps it out toward intermediate left center. Great pitch. I mean, it was a good location from Gossman, but really just solid hitting to not do too much with it and just really put the ball in play.
So that'll bring up the center fielder, Wady Almonte. Only his third game played for Florence. His first pitch finds the zone on the outside edge. Defense is at that halfway positioning, hoping they can turn to it in the inning. Oh, 1 to the plate, bounces in, gets past Felix, and it'll be an extra base for Bryant Flette. That one almost hit the foot of Wady Almonte. He jumped over it, and Felix wasn't able to get over to it in time. So now things get a little more difficult for Gossman. The double play is out of option. You can't really get the lead runner as easy. One from Gossman. Choked him up a little bit. Got it in there for a called strike.
Having that two-seamer and that kind of action against a lefty is always good to have because initially it starts out like it looks like it's going to hit them, and then it tails back, catches that inner black, and you get the umpire's call. And then the batter's trying to figure out where it was because it looked like it was right underneath their hands. Well, it was, but inside part of the plate because it came back in.
1-2 works way too far inside and actually hits Almonte. So with it, there are now runners at first and second. Takes us to the 9th spot in this lineup for Florence, the hard-hitting bat of Rodney Tinney.
3, Rodney Tinney.
Rodney Tinney is now playing in his 36th game for Florence. He's batting .378, yet they have him at the bottom of the order.
But this is, his second stint this season with it because he was released and then went to, was it Lake Erie first? Didn't last very long there, and then he ended up with Empire State for a hot sec, I think.
1 or 2 games, yeah.
Yeah, and
he's rejoined the team well. Had a couple really strong at-bats last night. Tell you, as he was out here taking batting practice, he's built like a running back almost. I mean, he's a good mix of both top-heavy and has tree trunks for legs, basically. Can really drive the ball well. I say drive the ball well, and he decides to try to lay down a bunt. But
he drove that one 2 feet.
Works a bit too far foul. It's been such a strange week for bunting. Of course, we had that 11 inning game a few nights ago. That the Otters had that first experience with that, and in the 10th, both them and Joliet had bunt foul or pop outs because both teams could not lay down the easy bunt. It was Andy Armstrong on the side of the Otters, probably the most consistent butter for Evansville all year. And it's carried her into this weekend as well. Both teams trying to lay down bunts, and sometimes they just don't go where they want them. 0-1 to Tinney. He's given up on the bunt option, and the ball outside evens our count at 1-1.
Sometimes a lot of the batters, though, they try to do too much when bunting. Like, I mean, obviously you're trying to get it down. That's obviously the important part, but sometimes you get a little too fine with it.
When you see a lot of guys trying to push the ball somewhere specific instead of just letting the ball hit the bat.
Just let the bat deaden the ball.
1-1 to Tinney. He shows bunt this time. It's a good-looking one. Picked up by Gossman, thrown to first, and it gets away from Biermann. One run's going to score. They're going to push the man home from third now. There'll be a play at the plate. It's a good throw, and they get him at home. Elijah McNamee says, I don't think so. So it will be an error on Gossman that allows Tinney to reach. Almonte will be taken on his way home. Flette does score. And the run will be unearned.
What a play. We've seen the arm of Elijah McNamee multiple times this year. And that one was a big one here in the early going. I mean, it's hard to say that was an important play because it's only the second inning. You still got a lot of baseball left, but that definitely feels like a huge play here in the early going just to maybe limit the damage.
Well, it especially, it backs up your pitcher too. He makes the error there, and you help him out by limiting the exposure it does. So Tinney has himself a good lead out there at second with the leadoff man, Alberti Chavez, back at the plate. The pitch home, swung on and missed for strike two. Chavez just looked lost on that pitch.
Probably since that finishing strikeout in the first inning, that's probably the best slider that Gossman's thrown since that time. A couple times he's been trying to kind of find it feels like, in this inning.
When Gossman did get Chavez swinging in the first inning for his first strikeout of the day. Now he's got a chance to do it again. This one went in the inning. The 0-2 to Alberti Chavez. Pushed foul to the right side. Will get out of play. And our count remains at 0-2. Do want to go ahead and give you a couple updates around the Frontier League. They're already in the bottom of the sixth inning in Avon, and Lake Erie leads Washington 4-1. Watch out Schaumburg, watch out Evansville. Lake Erie is coming for a playoff spot. This is going to get really fun next week. If the Crushers can hang on to us, it's another series loss for Washington, which is detrimental for the Wild Things. And it's so funny that it's Lake Erie that's making this push, because after an 0-2 is swung on and missed in the inning. We'll talk more about Lake Erie next half inning. We're on our way to the bottom half of the second. Florence leads this one 2-0. Bottom of the second inning, and Evansville now finds themselves down a pair of runs, but we're getting towards the part of the order that can really start to make opposing defenses pay here and there. Dakota Phillips, Elijah McNamee, and Jeffrey Baez are due up.
It's a party. It's a party.
There's no other way to say it.
Es una fiesta.
And I'll tell you what, last night was so good to see for Dakota Phillips. He goes a comfortable 1 for 2 with a home run, a walk, a sacrifice fly RBI. The only other time was a strikeout, but I think he needed a game like that where he kind of found all of the pieces that made him special last year. Sacrifice RBI, you saw the home run, the walk is something we were gotten used to earlier this year as well. That was a game he needed to fall back into a rhythm, I think.
Yeah, and it was, and that at bat with the home run especially, it wasn't a forced swing. It was a smooth, easy swing that we see Dakota Phillips make so many times.
The 2-0 for Phillips stays outside for ball 2. Phillips more than happy to take a big lead in the count. Pitch well inside. Will send Phillips to first for free. He'll take that anytime.
We know what the numbers say. Majority of the time, the leadoff batter who gets walked comes around to score.
It also helps when it's Elijah McNamee, Jeffrey Baez,
Yeah,
and
that
Justin
helps
Felix
too.
coming to the plate next. Elijah McNamee on that trip to Washington certainly helped the Otters grab those 2 of 3 wins. I wanted to make it a little special for him, and I made sure I mentioned it was his 200th game, and little did I know he was going to go on to have a 2 RBI triple and a 2 RBI double later in the game. It was an explosive game for him. He turned what was going to be a little bit of a significant night into a very significant night, and ever since he's kind of had his feet under him for a couple games, and then we'll have a rough game here or there. A couple nights ago, he went 0 for 5, but then starting to get back into the swing of things after a solid night last night.
McNamee, and this is the situation where this year he's been really good. I mean, he's been good in a lot of RBI situations, but the RBI's made a little down, but he's been really good at making sure the runner advances, getting the runner over into scoring position to set up the next guy.
Called strike evens the count for 1-1.
He's been productive in a lot of ways, making productive outs, as well as being productive when getting on base.
The 1-1's well outside. That's going to allow Phillips to reach second. And that sure helps McNamee out.
Yeah, now his mindset can change to be the RBI guy.
Baez on deck, making his return to the lineup after a couple nights off. Phillips at second. Nobody out here in the bottom of the second inning. The 2-1 pitch home to Elijah McNamee. Is fouled back into the netting. Timed that swing perfect. Just got underneath it.
That little late movement. It was center cut on the barrel until it slid away just at the last second.
Yeah. 2-2 count now for Elijah McNamee. Volley sends it home. Hit hard towards the right side, played into the glove of the first baseman Johnson. He'll step on first, but McNamee will do his job and move the runner now just 90 feet away.
And that's what I'm talking about. He's been making those kind of at-bats this year where, okay, yeah, in the stats it's an out, but he's moving runners over, making Phillips now 90 feet closer to home.
Well, it's also nice to see him return to the dugout, and every member of that dugout goes and congratulates him, thanks him, finds a way to encourage that type of at-bat.
McNamee does a lot of the small things really well.
First pitch to Jeffrey Baez here. He puts one out towards right field. Chasing in now is Tenney, and it drops for a base hit. Now gets away from Tenney. There goes Baez towards second, And he'll have himself a single and an extra base. It's an RBI single as well. Or maybe it's a double-decker double. Regardless, it has an RBI attached to it. That's a good return to the lineup hit for Jeffrey Baez. And just like that, Justin Felix now heads to the plate. He has a chance for an RBI hit as well. Baez, a quick guy out there at second. Do not let his size deceive you.
Man, Felix had a big home run earlier this week for the Otters.
First pitch to Felix, laid off. That's a hard pitch to lay off, but it's good for ball one. We have one group here tonight out in right field that has neon yellow shirts. Every single one of them has them.
I can't see him.
And you've just got highlighters spread throughout the ballpark tonight. A 1-0 pitch to Felix. Again, close one, hard to lay off, but good for ball two. Baez gives himself a little lead out there at second. Evansville only down by one after the RBI double. 2-0, Felix caught swinging. But it's only the first strike in his at-bat. And talk about a manufactured run. Phillips walks, advances on a wild pitch, and then able to score on the multi-base hit. But, I mean, that's one that they did the little things right. Advanced on a couple of...
And you have to be able to play that way at this time of the year. Because especially when you get to the postseason, pitching is going to more than likely dominate because you're going to be facing the top of the rotation for a lot of these teams, where offense will be at a premium. You got to be able to scratch and claw for every run you could possibly get.
One of the things I think the Otters have done the best this year is those 5th and 6th inning runs, right at the end of a starting pitcher's lifespan in a game. That's when they've usually struck for a lot of good runs. That's where I'll look for them to have the real success in these last couple of weeks and into the postseason, of course. Where can you get at the starting pitcher when he's starting to cool off in a game? It's one of the things that makes Washington so good. They really strike opposing pitchers in that 6th, 7th inning. 2-2 to Felix. Swinging strike three on the high inside corner. Heartbreaking way for that at-bat to end after he took a lead early.
Batting eighth at second base, Andy Armstrong.
Good for the second strikeout of the day for Jeremy Ovalle. Brings up Andy Armstrong, the second baseman and the 8-hole hitter. First pitch home, and the bat goes shattering as the ball goes right into the glove of Ovalle for a caught out number 3. There goes a bat flying to the left side. Some more wood for the fire. Get your new lumber at Niehaus Lumber. We're on to the third. Evansville only down by 1 now. We're on to the third inning, and Evansville finds themselves still down a run. On the bright side, you manufactured a run, made sure that leadoff walk meant something, and you're still in a position to strike in this one now.
Yeah, I mean, now that hopefully calms down Gossman a little bit. I think that last inning, especially with having that error, that may have frustrated him a little bit. So hopefully, at least getting that one run back, I mean, your offense for you helps him get back to being the solid lockdown Gossman we know.
The catcher 14, Luke Harper.
So the catcher, Luke Harper, stepping in now. In that last half inning, he struck out in the first, the second strikeout for Gossman on the day, and it was that outside pitch that he got chasing after that got him to stumble in the at-bat. Ball hit sharply towards Armstrong. He'll play into the glove. Over to first in time for out number one. Good way to start the inning. And you certainly needed to have one good one under your belt because now you're facing Brendan Price again. In last night's game, after his leadoff home run, he did start to struggle more in the game. Went 1 for 2 in his last couple of opportunities.
And as we were talking about him in this first at-bat, it kind of amazes me with his numbers and considering where Florence is in this late part of the season that maybe a team didn't try to get a trade flyer on him and acquire him before the trade deadline.
A batter like Brendan Price can take a pretty good team to a really good team.
Yeah.
I mean, that is instant offense. You know exactly what you're getting with him.
Of course, for Florence, they're hoping that he's a part of the hopefully better 2023 season for them, part of that picture, so May not is willing to give him away for the infamous player to be named later.
Counts even at 1-1 for Brendan Price. Gossman almost gets him to go around, but they say no, he did not. So the count's 2-1. Yeah, I tell you what, you get one or two more solid on-base guys in this Florence lineup and get them in front of Price, this team becomes infinitely better. Two-one to the inside. Takes our count to 3-1 now for Brendan Price.
And missing this year really for Florence, especially early on, that he was with, actively with the team. Harrison DeNicola had a big year last year for the Alls. Did not quite have the same kind of year this year.
3-1 fouled off to the left side, and Gossman does well to get himself a full count without giving up a good-looking pitch.
And I'm not talking about just he didn't perform, but it was kind of just a rough year, kind of on and off the injured list a little bit. Whereas last year, DeNicola, I mean, he was one of the best in the entire league.
Three-two count for Brendan Price. One out, nobody on. Top of the third inning. Gossman kicks and delivers. Well outside, and it's a ball four for Price. He'll get the free pass with one out. Well, one thing's for certain. You'll take a walk over a run.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can't really hate that result. I mean, you battled, try to still get him out. But the result with the walk is a lot better than the previous at-bat.
You'd rather put it in the hands of your defense to potentially turn a double play and things.
Right, because that's the thing.
Have to stand there and watch it fly.
He have him on base with what we are assuming is not the fleetest of foot base runner. So you have a chance to turn two and wipe it out.
First pitch to Ray Zuber, inside for ball one. Zuber, one of the league's best double hitters. As we enter our game today, Zuber's sitting pretty with 26 doubles. That hasn't been the top 5 in the league. A 1-0 to Zuber. Good for a called strike that evens our count. 1 ball, 1 strike.
taking a little bit off on that last pitch, changing the eye of the batter in terms of velocity.
Price with a small lead over at first as the 1-1 comes home for a called strike 2. Generally, Zach Biermann makes the runners next to him look so small over there at first. It's weird to look down there at first and see Zach Biermann looking like a 5'10", 5'11" guy. Happy to see Gossman taking a couple extra seconds before some of these pitches. As the 1-2 comes home. Called strike 3. Zuber cannot believe it. But it is good for the 5th German-American Bank strikeout of the day for Austin Gossman. I think there could be some discussion there. It did look on the inside edge, but
Normally, yeah, you go with that back foot slider to try to get the man to swing and miss to get your strikeout. You don't normally see too many strikeouts looking with that location. But
you'll certainly take it.
You'll take it, exactly.
Hard-hitting Ethan Stern heading to the plate. Gets a called strike to kick off his at-bat. And I think when you've got two pitchers like this who have already settled in fairly well in this game, those first pitch strikes are going to be huge in determining how the outcome is of a certain at-bat. 0-1 from Gossman, fouled back into the netting. And with it, our count drops to 0-2. Gossman taking a couple extra seconds to reset prior to this important pitch. Price with a small lead at first. The 0-2 to Stern. Outside. 4-1. Good to see Felix able to make a second straight start tonight. Been kind of battling with some neck issues. Also was in concussion protocol for a while. We saw Brody Tanksley come in and fill the role very nicely.
Yes.
But it is good to see Felix back behind the plate calling the shots for his pitchers.
And with Tanksley getting the playing time and doing really well, you can see his confidence just skyrocket. Because, I mean, he played well on both sides, as the backstop as well as in the lineup.
Yeah, I think in his very first game that he played for Evansville there at Windy City, he grabbed an RBI single and then did it again there on the road at Joliet. Kind of was a nice spark plug in the back half of this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I know from being on the road with the team that the night before he and Brett Adcock worked together, they took time that night and went and studied a little bit of footage from Adcock's games and really talked about what they wanted to accomplish. And it seems as if the pitchers really have enjoyed starting to work with him, and they are trusting Adcock to now, or trusting Tanksley to start calling games now. Let's try again on the 1-2 to Stern. Bouncing foul again to the left side. We'll stay at 1-2.
And usually, that's tough to do in the middle of the season. Usually that's what spring training is for, is to build that chemistry between pitcher and catcher, going over the game plan and just getting a feel on how to work together. With like any job. Doing it in season, you got to give these professionals a lot of credit.
The 1-2 to Stern for the third time. Bounces Strange away from Felix, and because of it, Brennan Price is going to grab an extra base. Just took a weird hop on Felix there.
On the way to and on the way after, as it caught the top of the brick wall along the backstop behind him and bounced right back to him on the edge of the grass.
Yeah, it's one of the things that on one of the road trips I sat down and asked Brody Tanksley about. Do our pitchers have a preference on who they're throwing to behind the plate? He said, not really. I mean, they don't really care which one of us it is as long as we know their strengths and weaknesses. That's all they really care about. 3-2 to Stern, popped up. Felix will make a run towards it, over towards the Otters dugout, but it's going to work its way onto the roof.
For a call brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best, never regret it.
And I mean, that means that there's credit to both Andy McCauley and the way he's built the team, but also to Billy Easley, the catcher's coach, who's worked so hard with these guys to make sure they're ready to catch for any one of these pitchers any given night.
With the addition the last few years of being able to have the video stream, and last couple years having a center field camera, allowing them to go back and watch film, has really helped escalate the game planning process, as well as building that back and forth between the pitcher and catcher.
Chasing a pitch well outside for strike 3 is Ethan Stern, and with it, it's 6 German-American Bank strikeouts for Gossman. We head to the bottom half of the third inning. Evansville trails by a run. Bottom of the third inning, Evansville trails 2-1, and they are heading to the bottom piece of their lineup. George Khalil, and the first pitch he sees comes in and grabs him on the elbow. And just like that, one pitch in, the Otters have a man on base. That was kind of the bread and butter for George Khalil for a lot of that first, month and a half of the season. It seemed like once every series at least he was getting hit by a pitch.
I mean, his on-base percentage was really, really good to start that early part of the season because of for that reason, getting hit by the pitch and drawing good walks, taking good at-bats. Then he got on a little bit of a hot streak in the middle of, midsummer in July. And
I think he hit all 6 of his home runs in like a 5 or 6 game
Yeah.
span, too. I think he had a multi-home run game, too, there at Gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Ball sent up the middle by Gordon. The throw to first is just in time to get him, but it is a successful sacrifice bunt. I love that the Otters are comfortable playing this style of baseball. You're only down 1. Why not work the small ball to grab yourself that 1 run and potentially tie this thing?
And they've done it a lot more, not only this year, but also going back to last year. And that's, a big part of the reason is having the right personnel on the roster to be able to do things like that. And
Well, of
obviously, when you have the likes of Andy Armstrong, who can lay down a bunt with decent speed, you got Miles Gordon, who's basically, flash on the team, who also can get down a good bunt. You could be able, you can do those kind of things. If you don't have the right personnel to do it, then you really shouldn't try it.
Switch hitting Brian Rosario due up now. Takes a called strike. And, the best part of all is the Otters have a lot of men who are not selfish ball players. They're okay giving up their at-bat if it means helping the team out. And that, more than anything, is huge.
You got to do the right thing for the team, and you want to put these players toward their strengths, put them in positions to be successful.
Another ball fouled away, so the count drops to 0-2 for Rosario. Do like the base running we're seeing from Khalil out there. As the pitch comes home, he's getting a good 2 or 3 big jumps to put himself in a place where he could grab an extra base.
And for Khalil, who has those long strides, it almost feels like about 6 steps for a normal person.
0-2 for Rosario. A half swing. He did not go around. So his count's at 1-2. And I say this every game. I'll continue to say it every game. What a great pickup for McCauley's squad here in the mid parts of the season. Brian Rosario joins there right at the beginning of July. And he's gelled very well in this squad. It instantly became a big part of the offense and really hasn't slowed down.
And he can play anywhere.
The 1-2 for Brian Rosario. Sent chopping back up the middle, picked by Chavez. His throw over to first is in time for out number 2, but best of all, it does move Khalil over to third.
Because part of the plan originally when he was signed was maybe involved in catcher duties.
I know he has a set of,
He caught bullpens and that kind of thing, but finding his niche out in the outfield a little bit.
Well, as of right now, the only place he's played so far is either as a DH or a left fielder. Really hasn't explored anything else.
But for a long time there is basically the 3 main guys, and Baez, Gordon, and McNamee. Of course, you get later in the season, you wouldn't be able to give those guys a day off here and there to catch their breath. Or maybe you'll give them at least a half off day by maybe the DH. Rosario gives them that opportunity where you're not really losing much if you put him in the lineup and give one of those guys a complete off day or be in the DH. You got to have that depth.
Way inside pitch. A good stop by Harper. Biermann stays away from it. The count goes to 2-0. Yeah, we're about to see where the good teams are separated from the great teams here in this next week and a half, and then going into a very strange playoff. I mean, 1 game, in or out, and then you're playing a 3-game set for the division title to play in the championship series. I mean, it's a very quick series. 2-0 to Biermann. Thought that might have been a called strike, but it does stay too far inside for a 3-0 count.
Yeah, very quick, a normal 2-week span just about for Frontier League postseason. But once that's over with, some of these guys, they won't be done. They'll still be playing baseball as a league like the Atlantic League. They still play basically all the way to the end of the month. You might see these guys find some action for a couple more weeks after the Frontier League season.
Biermann takes a called strike. So the count goes to 3-1. Big time chance for Zach Biermann. Gets underneath one, putting it foul to the right side. Luckily for him, it gets out of play. Had that one stayed in play, it would have perfectly fit in what has been a tough stretch for Biermann. A lot of opportunities that have ended just like that for him. So now a full count for the first baseman, Zach Biermann, with 2 outs and a runner at third. Payoff pitch on the way home. Stays outside. Biermann's got himself a walk. And that could prove to be a pretty costly one depending on how Dakota Phillips' at-bat goes.
Third baseman, 7, Dakota Phillips.
Khalil at third, Biermann at first. Dakota Phillips heading to the plate.
It's a party. Es una fiesta.
Boy, has it been fun to see the Evansville community get around Dakota Phillips again. I mean, you can just tell the emotional bump this team got when he returned. First pitch here, put down the third base line, and it's fair. 1 run's going to score easily. Biermann's going to try to come around third. He's making his way towards home. The relay to the plate will not happen. It is a 2-run double for Dakota Phillips, and it is indeed a party.
so good to have Dakota Phillips back. He had a great first half of the season, and he got recognized at the All-Star game, which deservedly so. You know, he was not able to play in it. And really, so far now, the last couple of nights, looks like he's found his groove once again.
Almost seems like a guy who had a month and a half of professional baseball pent up and was ready to uncork on a few really pitched balls.
Not like that one. That wasn't hit very hard, but placed very well. I mean, it made its way all the way down toward the corner, which allowed Biermann to go all the way around from first base.
Yeah, how about Zach Biermann? Not a guy we see usually zoom around the bases like that, but he was really cooking around second, and I think for a while it looked like Andy McCauley was getting hesitant about sending him, but then said, why not? Let's go for it. The Otters now have the lead.
And credit to Biermann, honestly, not only being aggressive, but getting the good read. He knew right away where that was going to land, so he was going right away. Had made up his mind, made the commitment to go.
Quick discussion up there on the mound to renegotiate signs and make sure everything is on the same page between Ovali and the catcher Harper. Inning not over for Evansville. Still a chance to keep this going. Elijah McNamee at the plate now. This is what teams like Washington or Quebec do that makes them so dangerous. When you give them an opening, they really hit you hard. Chance for Evansville to do the same here now.
Yeah, maybe Evansville looking to complete this first third of the game with maybe a little bit of a punch in the mouth to Florence.
Ball sent out towards right. Chasing in is Tinney. The dive. Did he make the catch? Yes, he did. The inning does end, but not before Dakota Phillips drives in two with a two-run double. Evansville now leads 3-2. We've played 1/3 of this one. Fourth inning coming at you next. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers. Axel Johnson, Bryant Flette, and Wade Almonte are the three due up for Florence here in the fourth inning. Austin Gossman fell into a good rhythm there in the third. Back-to-back strikeouts ended the half inning. Brought him up to 6 on the day. So Johnson, who struck out earlier in tonight's game, starts off his at-bat with a called strike on a nice pitch from Gossman that worked back in towards the zone.
Tell that the getting toward the end of the summer because the lights start taking effect on the field a little bit earlier in the evening than they did earlier in the season.
Hard hit ball out to right, and McNamee's going to go ahead and just let that one fall in front of him for a single rather than try to push it too hard.
The only reason I say this is because you think back to even like a month ago, you still probably wouldn't even see the lights really take effect until maybe at least the fifth inning. After
Almost right there at the center point.
the center point. Now it's almost full-blown lights. Well, I guess what, technically it's a little less than a month till the actual fall, right? September 21st.
It does feel right, though, on Center Point Energy Night that they're going to get the full effect of their fifth inning promotion.
Yes.
Bryant Flette hits one hard towards Biermann. He picks it up to second for one. The relay back to first is going to be close. Is it in time? Yes, it is. Biermann hopped back on first. Gossman wasn't sure where to go, and it's a 3-6-3 ground into double play.
So it wasn't a strikeout with the strikeout batter, but you still get the Hoosier Lottery Powerball double play. And initially, it was like there's a slight little grip issue there for Biermann on the throw. Still got the second and then recovered back in time. And like you said, Gossman was ready to cover the base. Not needed. And looks like maybe there's a little bit of a disagreement on the call at first. They're going to discuss it. It's Chris Dykeman, the umpire at first base. And initially, I think he was waiting to see which glove was the ball going to go into, Biermann's or Gossman's, as an umpire to make the call.
So the umpires are going to discuss this for a second.
Can't take the Powerball away, right?
The fans are going to be heartbroken.
Just imagine if it was Washington with the beer on the line. Nah, we changed our mind. What?
I tell you what,
Taking our adult beverages away?
That is a passionate fan group. I mean, you have a strikeout batter or a beer batter strikeout, they go sprinting to the concession lines. I mean, that's a unique place to go to a game. You can join the Otters, by the way. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday they play there at Washington.
It's not the deal for me.
Ball hit weakly back up the middle into Gossman's glove. He'll toss to first for the final out, and Biermann, a piece of all three of them. We head to the bottom half of the fourth. Evansville holding tight to their lead. Bottom of the fourth inning, Evansville holding on to their 3-2 lead. You know, that's a half inning that describes the Evansville season pretty well. Defense helping out the pitcher, and the pitcher right away returning the favor. And a out of turn, I guess you could call it 2-1-3 inning instead of a 1-2-3 inning. Regardless, still got the job done. Baez, Felix, and Armstrong are the three due up here in the half inning.
And really one of the big important things is keeping the defense active. I feel like our pitchers do a good job of, you know, having a good pace and maybe not lull their own team and defense behind them asleep. Sometimes you see that with teams.
A 1-1 count for Jeffrey Baez. And it's hit weakly off towards the third base side, foul. It's one of the things I asked Austin Gossman about on the broadcast a couple weeks ago. It's like, what is it like to step onto the mound every night and know you've got those guys behind you? And he said, we're the luckiest pitch staff in the entire league because nobody else's defense can make the plays especially that Andy Armstrong and George Khalil can out there around second base. He says, I can rely on those guys to help me out anytime I put a ball on the ground. So it's certainly recognized by the pitchers, and it's nice that it's a two-way street for him.
Mm-hmm. It just gives you a lot of confidence. And the thing is, too, you don't have to strike every batter out. Because as we know, you may get a lot of strikeouts, but that's going to run your pitch count up. So you can pitch to contact with confidence, knowing that your defense will back you up. It'll save your pitch count. It'll allow you to get deeper into games, which in turn saves the bullpen.
So we'll have a 3-2 payoff pitch for Jeffrey Baez to kick off this bottom half of the fourth inning. A half swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Oh, now they say he did. At first, there was no call. Then they finally checked down at first base. They say he went around, and Baez will sit down with a strikeout. Forgive me for speaking too quickly. Third of the day for Jeremy Ovalle.
Yeah, because the catcher signaled down for the appeal, but it has to be the home plate umpire. And he did not ask for it right away. Then he did. And that's when the call came.
Do have an update for you from Avon, Ohio. Lake Erie out to a 5-2 lead now in the bottom of the eighth inning. The Crushers are certainly trying to help out the Otters. Also in Schaumburg, Illinois, Gateway leading 1-0. Otters are hoping that the Grizzlies do not fall away from a sixth inning lead for the second straight night. Felix takes a called strike one to kick off his at-bat.
A little bit of a gust coming through Bossy Field, and I checked. It doesn't look like any weather in the area, but the breeze has definitely picked up since first pitch.
0-1 to Felix. Swinging strike two, drops him back. That's coming in from like the right center field area. Tell you, it was fun to watch Felix return to the lineup and hit his home run a couple of nights ago, because it was one that he knew off the bat. So he stood there for a second, admired it. You could tell that was I needed this at bat for him. Kind of get him back on the right side of things. 0-2 to Felix. That one stays high and outside, and with it, Justin will stay alive in the count.
And right now the wind's blowing in the right direction in terms of the eyes of the Evansville Otters staff when it comes to tonight's post-game fireworks.
1-2 for Felix. He's out in front of it for a swinging strike three. Good for the fourth strikeout of the day for Ovalle and his second back-to-back.
And I want to say, because hopefully that will keep the debris off the actual playing surface.
Andy Armstrong now heading to the plate. He is a unfortunate 0 for 1 in the game after a broken bat incident. His first time up sent the ball right back into the glove of Ovalle on the mound. First pitch here, taken inside for ball one. Elsewhere around the league, just to keep you in the know with what's going on, Ottawa has just gone final with a 9-6 win against Empire State. Trois-Rivières and New Jersey tied at 6, the bottom of the seventh. 1-0 taken for a called strike on Armstrong. With it, his count evens up. New York, my goodness, out to an 8-0 advantage against Tri-City in the top of the sixth. We could see Tri-City continue to fall down the standings today after a bad drop from him yesterday after a loss.
Since I've been kind of in and out of the fold here the last month, where's Empire State in terms of the wins?
Well, Empire State went on the road to obviously on the road.
Yeah.
Went up to Windy City and took games 1 and 2, and then took a lead into the bottom of the ninth in game 3, allowed back-to-back base hits for Windy City, and got walked off against. Almost had a sweep this season. Right now they're sitting at 6 wins.
So there's, okay, because internally there's the over-under line, so I was curious if they had made a butt on the over quite yet. Not quite.
Yeah, they are working their way up towards it. It's an interesting stretch down these final games for Empire. Of course, they played against Ottawa this weekend, and then they're at New York for a few, and then they conclude the season at Tri-City. And I tell you what, Tri-City might be very happy that's who they've got in those final 3, because those could be very important games in determining who's going to finish where in the East.
Or they could be scared because Empire State's done pretty well against Tri-City this year.
That's where their first win came.
Right. Nope, we got a tour up here in the press box. Got a tour up here in the press box.
Half swing, no good for Khalil. With it, his count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The bosses of the Evansville Otters bringing a group of young fans through to see the ins and outs of the press box here at Bosse Field.
I always try to shout him out when I see him here. Always good to have both our owner Bill Bussing and President John Stanley in attendance. Here on closing weekend of the regular season. Good to have the whole Otters team here. All fouled off by Khalil, drops him back to 1 and 2.
And it helps keeps their nerves in check, because when it comes to these baseball games, nobody gets as nervous as our owner and president.
Well, and maybe Joel Padfield, our vice president.
Maybe,
of
yeah,
sales.
that's another one. Yes. Sometimes they got check the old ticker on those three guys, because they get the heart racing a little bit, especially toward the end of games.
A 1-2 for the shortstop, George Khalil. It's sent high and foul to the right side. Running that way is Johnson. He'll run out of room. Armstrong got a good jump on that pitch, by the way, trying to break his way towards second, but it won't matter. A couple final other scores for you around the league. Quebec's out to a 3-1 advantage against Sussex County. They're in the top of the 6th. And finally, at Windy City, Joliet trails 2-0. Slammers have had a really rough week. They could see themselves eliminated from postseason contention as early as right now, Tuesday night. One, 2 to Khalil. Misses to the outside. That is a close pitch for Khalil to not swing at.
Mm-hmm.
One that he likes to bite at. Armstrong lessens his lead at first. Now it grows before the 2-2 pitch to Khalil. He pushes one towards Chavez at short. He'll pick it up and throw to first in time for out number 3. And we've played through 4 innings. Evansville still hanging on to a 3-2 lead thanks to the 2 RBI double of Dakota Phillips in the 3rd. We're on to the 5th inning here from historic Bosse Field. Well, we are on to the 5th inning in this one, and things are starting to kind of settle into the pitchers giving up a base runner here and there, but being able to trust their defense and get through this. Coming to the plate for Florence in the half inning will be Rodney Tinney, Alberti Chavez, and Luke Harper. Tinney, the only one who's reached thus far of the 3. Again, don't forget that Evansville concludes the home regular season tomorrow, 12:35 first pitch on a Dog Days of Summer and Fan Appreciation Day, which means you get in for just $2. You can sit anywhere in the ballpark for just $2 tomorrow. Bring the 4-legged friend while you're at it.
Hopefully get some nice weather. What was it? Last Sunday, man. It was a really beautiful Sunday afternoon. I spent my time outdoors, but elsewhere, not at the ballpark.
Count starts at 0-1 for Tinney. Regardless of how these next couple innings go, I think Gossman, at least right now, is happy with the way this game has favored him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last couple ones that have gotten hard against him, it's been a first or second inning that the opposing team exploded on him.
And the thing is, he was able to minimalize the damage. Again, help with the defense, but wasn't going back to the dugout in either of those first 2 innings, looking at the scoreboard and seeing a crooked number. He kept it to 1 each inning.
And you're a professional pitcher for a reason. I mean, you're supposed to be able to have the mentality that lets you calm down and reset, and that's exactly what Gossman's done tonight. That's what he needed in an outing against a team that, like you mentioned earlier, on a paper you should be beating. So as a pitcher, of course, there is that added pressure. This is a win I need to get for my squad.
Yeah, you need to have that, but it's always dangerous, though, to go out there and feel like you have to throw a shutout every single time.
Called strike on Tenney as he tries that. I described it last night as that softball slap hitting style approach. He did it last night as well.
You don't see that too often nowadays. Of course, really, Ichiro made it really famous in his career.
Very rarely you see it anywhere in baseball now. So the count's at 1-2 for the right fielder, Tenney. Gossman fires home. Swinging, strike 3. That's good for a 7th German American Bank strikeout for Austin Gossman.
German American Bank strikeout.
That time it came with that, what really is kind of a sneaky fastball. When you look at the radar gun, it doesn't look like it's overly quick in terms of velocity, but with the way Gossman delivers the pitch and the way it comes out of the hand, it just sneaks up on the batter real quick.
Well, and it also looks like it's going to stay right there in your reach, and then it really falls away to the outside edge, too. Back to the righty, Alberti Chavez. First pitch home is swung on and missed. Not quite missed, foul tipped. Regardless, it is strike 1. Again, Evansville leading this ball game 3-2 thanks to the RBI single from Jeffrey Baez and then the 2-run double from Dakota Phillips. Austin Gossman taking a couple extra seconds to reset prior to the 0-1 pitch. Just misses to the high side. Defense has that shift to the left side once again. As the 1-1 is fouled back into the netting. And a nice grab made by Tyler Spring down in the Otters dugout. Tomorrow it's Joniker Villalobos, the righty, going for Florence, and he'll face off against the righty Justin Watlin. Watlin extended himself out to 5-4 with his win earlier this week against Joliet. 3.90 ERA for him. A 1-2 for Chavez. He pushes it to the right side, and it's right into the glove of Biermann for out number 2. Nice lucky play there for the Otters.
Catcher 14, Luke Harper.
And that's why defense positioning is important, because it may go unnoticed at times, but getting your defensive alignment straight, and Gossman, he's pretty good at before a pitch or before an at-bat, making sure his guys are in position and ready to go, because you look at the scouting report, you're trying to get a guy to hit directly to your defender so they don't have to go to their left or their right and use their range a whole lot.
Secret weapon trying to help out Austin Gossman a little bit. Prior to the 1-0 pitch to the backstop, Luke Harper. He sends one off the handle of the bat, foul to the left side. A lot of guys on this Florence squad have these powder blue bats as well, kind of fitting in with the spirit of the
it's a nice touch.
Uniform as well. The Alls went with a bold uniform combo earlier this week. They went with the blue tops, black bottoms. An interesting choice there. 1-1 to Harper. Sent on the ground towards Khalil. He'll charge in. Throw over to first in time for out number 3. A wonderful inning for the Otters defensively. And it's another 1-2-3 inning that takes us to the bottom half of the 5th. We're at the Center Point Energy, center point of this one. Bottom half of the 5th, and we are at the Center Point Energy center point of this one. I always like to take a second to take a look at the big picture for Evansville. A 3-2 lead. A couple of your big bats doing their jobs. Good place to be right now.
Yeah, pretty good place right now. Good bounce back over that first couple of innings for Gossman. Pitching well into his defense, and now you're at the top of the order, so you feel like this is an opportunity for Evansville to maybe add some more numbers to the board.
Gordon, Rosario, and Biermann due up in the half inning. Gordon starts it off with ball 1 high and outside.
One thing that kind of caught me off guard, I just not noticed, so I don't know if he's been doing the entire game, but as Ovalle was warming up, he took those first couple of warm-up pitches, kind of getting that running start before he threw it home. You don't normally see that in-game from a pitcher. Usually that's something you do in the bullpen. Normally, when you're coming out to warm up on the actual game mound, you're just literally from the stretch or normal wind-up.
Ball hit sharply towards the first baseman, Johnson, directly into the glove. And that's an unlucky out number 1 for Miles Gordon. Well, as my good friend Bill McEwen always says, the guy who invented baseball put him there for a reason. And that's a perfect example of it right there.
13, Bryant Rosario.
Getting each first baseman involved here in this inning with liners.
So that'll bring up Brian Rosario, the hard-hitting switch hitter. First offering to him is off the handle of the bat out towards shallow left. Chavez chasing way back. Now the left fielder comes in, and it is Zuber who will bring it in for out number 2. And Rosario a bit frustrated after that one.
Yeah, trying to jump on that first pitch fastball, but defensively that's well played. That's a tough play for Chavez, who has to basically, if he makes that play, has to do it over the shoulder, where even though it's a long run for Zuber, he has to play in front of him with the ball dropping. Did a great job to call off his shortstop.
Zach Biermann making his way to the plate now. He's 0 for 1 on the day with a strikeout and a walk. For Biermann in the last 10 games, he's batting .278, 10 hits in 36 at-bats. Leads the team in that span with 8 RBIs. He has certainly been a example of consistency recently. 1-0 home to him. He zooms one out towards right. Tenney's chasing back towards it and works himself underneath it for out number 3. Very quick half inning for the Otters offensively. And with it, we make our way to the 6th inning. Evansville holding on to a 3-2 lead. Don't go anywhere. 6th inning coming at you next. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Old National Bank, your bank for Evansville, your bank for life. We're on to the top of the 6th inning, and both pitchers now feeling pretty confident, going through a couple of solid stretches of baseball, but there's a man at the plate now who can instantly change that. Brennan Price, who already has 2 solo home runs in this series. He's 1 for 1 on the day with that solo home run, as well as a walk back in the 3rd inning.
Well, the good thing about it is he is leading off, so if damage is done, it only ties the game. Because as you said, thankfully, runners on to make it any worse in the worst case scenario. But ideally, Gossman continues to pitch well like he has been the last couple innings.
And even though it would be a leadoff, a walk always feels a little bit better than a big
right,
hit for
we mentioned
Brennan
that in his
Price.
last at bat. Worked a 3-2 count, walked. Okay, it's not the worst thing in the world.
The 1-0 to Price. Just misses on that high inside for ball 2. I mentioned it last night, but if you didn't make it onto the broadcast last night, I'll mention it again tonight. One of the notes that Brennan Price's father let me know the last time we played this squad is Price was actually drafted as a pitcher, was throwing 95 at the time.
I could see it.
But then decided he wanted to try out hitting after was released from his Blue Jays contract, and now look at him, one of the biggest hitters in this league. Tried to do it on that last swing, especially.
Took a big hack there, trying to hit all the way to the Crawford Door building. But it was just a swinging strike, so now he may have to take a deep breath and take a step back.
2-1 to Price. Taken for a called strike. Beautiful pitch there for Gossman.
Yeah, it's kind of, I was going to say, I don't think he was going to be swinging on that, because normally you see a big swing like he did on that previous pitch. You see a second one in a row.
I just took a glance down towards the Y'all's bullpen, and they've got 3 or 4 individuals that are just laying on the ground down there stretching out. Kind of looked like a yoga class was going on for a second. Pitch outside will take this count to full once again for Brennan Price. Of course, I say that to also mention that keeping an eye on the bullpens. Neither one getting started quite yet. In fact, for a little bit, the only one up in the Otters bullpen area was Jeffrey Baez using one of the pitcher's bands just to keep himself stretched out. 3-2 home to Price. Just missed on the outside, and Price has himself his 2nd walk of the game and 3rd of the series.
Left fielder, 5, Ray Zuber, the 3rd.
Again, at this point in the game, you don't hate it. Now, probably the next time Price comes around, you don't want to walk him because you're getting to a crunch time where if the 1-run difference is still the case, then you're bringing obviously the go-ahead run to the plate. But a dangerous hitter like Price, you're okay with that result.
So Ray Zuber making his way to the plate. He's 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout so far in the evening. Gossman gets set, his first pitch home. Hefty swinging strike 1 from Zuber will drop him back in the count. Do want to give you a final score update from Avon, Ohio. The Lake Erie Crushers have defeated Washington 5-2. The door's still open for this Evansville Otters squad. Now you've got to do your job in this game. Also, the idea of Lake Erie making their way closer to a playoff spot just invites chaos into this West Division, and that excites me as well. 0-2 count now for Zuber after another hefty swinging strike. Drops him back in the count.
And really, when you look at what Lake Erie's been doing, it's kind of the pitching that scares you the most. Being able to quiet the offense of Washington like they have.
Yeah, we were going to talk a little bit more about Lake Erie earlier. The thing that surprised me the most was the Otters earlier this year faced them twice in a 2-week stretch, and the roster was more than half different that second time they faced off than the first. Whatever they have done with that roster has really started to work, and you're right, the pitching has been a lot of fun to watch, led by Joe Scambogelli, the all-star for Lake Erie. He has been a ton of fun to watch, and luckily for the Otters, they only had to face him one time of all the series they played. And now we're seeing that both Lake Erie and Evansville have found a small key to beating Washington, and that's you can work through those first 5-6 innings and keep them scoreless. You're in a great position to beat that Washington team. They're a front-heavy offensive team. 1-2 to Zuberer. Close pitch, missed on the outside.
Yeah, they normally you see a lot of offenses start to click against a pitcher, maybe that second or third time through the lineup. They're a team that likes to jump on a pitcher early before he actually settles into the game, and then maybe in that third time around through the lineup.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Ray Zuberer. Nobody outs on a runner at first here at the top of the 6th. Ball zoomed out towards right. McNamee running back towards it. Settles underneath and brings it in for out number 1. Price will not advance.
It sounded like a hard crack of the bat, but really it was on the handle a little too much. And kind of the same scenario with that last swing in the half inning by Biermann, where because he's such a big, strong guy, it sounds like it's going a long way, but it really was just in on the handle for Biermann in that last half inning as well.
Well, it doesn't help that the wind is still gusting in from right field. A lot of these guys, especially with a lefty-heavy lineup like Florence, trying to drive the ball out towards right, not getting much help. Ethan Stern at the plate now, one of the 2 righties in the starting 9. He hits one sharply to the left side into the glove of Khalil, and as he tries to throw to second, it just slips out of his hand. A rare error for Khalil in these last few weeks.
And that's one where I think, Khalil and Armstrong, they pair up well for a double play combo. When you have the speed of Price, you can take your time a little bit more, and Khalil kind of rushed it a little bit, at least get the force out. That's the play, of course, to get on that with that situation with getting Price as the lead runner out.
It also kind of looked like maybe he was ready to throw to second, saw he didn't have a play there, and when he tried to re-clutch to throw to first is when it maybe slipped. He can make a lot of plays. Unfortunately, this one wasn't written in the stars for him. Brings up Axel Johnson. 1 out, 2 on. Gossman fires home. It's driven out towards left center. Gordon making a good run towards it, as is Rosario. It drops for extra bases. Here comes Price around third, but due to his speed, only 1 run is going to score. It is an RBI single for Axel Johnson, and just like that, this game is tied. And that error hurts a little bit more for Evansville now as the game is tied.
Yeah, this is a good time for Max to come out. Not only just to talk to Gossman, but I think bring the infield together as a whole. Kind of settle the entire group down with this situation.
Otters did get a man up and throwing just maybe 2 batters ago. It is Jacob Bowles down there. And the intensity that he's throwing right now kind of seems like he's trying to get warmed up very quickly.
Pitch count is starting to get up there a little bit for Gossman.
Whole infield passes around the rosin bag and gives a fist bump to Austin Gossman, trying to give him the whole, hey, we're here behind you. I'm sure George Khalil said, hey, that's on me. We got this. Now it's time to regroup and find a way to grab these last 2 outs. Brings up the third baseman, Bryant Flette. He singled in the second, came around to score on the error from Gossman, and then a strange 3-6-3 double play was the result of Flette's second at bat.
Otters bringing the corners in. Middle infield staying back.
First pitch home stays low for ball 1. One more home game here at Historic Bosse Field tomorrow, 12:35. Would love to see you here at Historic Bosse Field. $2 general admission tickets. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. 1-0, the offering for Bryant Flette. Gets it off the handle and sends it foul.
Overhead
with the
ball
count
brought to you
evens.
by Heads Construction. Choose the best. Never regret it.
There's still no throwing in the Florence bullpen. Lots of movement, but it's all just routine stretching. Gossman looking at an even count. 1-1 to Bryant Flette. 1 out. Runners at second and third. One swung on and missed big time from Flette. A little out in front of that pitch.
2 strikes. Lottery tickets are on the line here.
That looked like one that I think Flette saw the RBI chance. Eyes lit up a little bit and just got a little ahead of it. Good work from Gossman also to change up the pitch speeds a little there. Ready for the 1-2. Gossman fires, stays high, and our count will even once again. This is a Florence squad that has certainly had the Otters number all year long. Seems like they've found ways to surprise Evansville at different parts of the season. At least right now, Florence owns the season series 4-3. But if you include tonight, these teams still have 5 games left to play. 1 more tomorrow, then 3 on the road next weekend. 2-2 to Flette, and it's a swinging strike 3. And that's an important one for Gossman because now you just need the 1.
And that opens up the playbook, if you will, in a lot of ways for the Otters now getting that strikeout. And just kind of finish off your point about, the matchup against Florence. That initial road trip to Florence that still feels like a long time ago.
I was thinking the same thing
because that
today.
that was another road trip in the season that Evansville would like to forget, because it did not go their way in the kindest of ways for the Otters back then.
First pitch comes a called strike to Wady Almonte. Yeah,
I'm sure you remember that trip very well.
As I was getting prepared for this series yesterday, I looked back and saw that and went, wow, that feels like it was ages ago. I mean, that was the week that Evansville had 2 different 9-run losses.
Mm-hmm.
That was one that it felt like things were starting to go the wrong way. Just had announced attendance here tonight, just about 2,500 for the 3rd straight night. It's been nice to celebrate our final week here at Bosse Field, at least in the regular season, with a lot of big crowds here at Evansville.
Yeah, getting a couple thousand here back-to-back nights, and especially last night being a high school football Friday. School's already back in session. It's good to see the fans still coming out.
0-2 works inside, almost catches the foot of Almonte.
I was gonna say that trip was especially for you memorable for a lot of reasons.
Yes, indeed. But
that was going into the season, we thought maybe the Canadian trip was gonna be the one that got you. It was not that one.
And then it's crazy to think this Otters team came home, won the 3 against Joliet, and went on their 9-game winning streak.
Yep.
Ball hits slowly back up towards Armstrong at second. The quick throw to first in time for out 3. And there will only be 1 run scored by Florence. We are tied at 3 going into the bottom of the 6th inning. Don't go anywhere. Great game brewing here on the Otters Digital Network. Fans here at historic Bossy Field celebrating on the Drake's dance cam. Wonder if we got any fans in attendance going to go hit up Drake's after this one's over. I hear they have the best sushi in town.
That's what they say, and they do stay open rather late. You got enough time after a normal length baseball game to make it out to Drake's. We've done it on a couple occasions this year. When Schaumburg was in town earlier this season, our good friend Tim Calderwood was in town, the broadcaster for the Boomers. So we took a trip with him to Drake's after a contest.
Hope we get to see you in a couple weeks, Tim. How does Tuesday, September 6th sound to you? At least right now, Otters would host Schaumburg on that Tuesday night for a one-game wild card. Dakota Phillips, Elijah McNamee, and Jeffrey Baez are going to try to be the three that retake the lead for Evansville. 0-1 to Phillips. Ball stays outside and this count evens. Did want to give a check-in on Schaumburg up there. They are in the bottom of the 7th. Gateway still holding on to a 3-0 advantage. 1-1 fell in beautifully against Phillips. Had him staring. And unless things go catastrophic in this inning or potentially the 7th, this has been a really good outing for Jeremy Ovalle. After struggling a lot of the year, it's been nice to see him kind of settle into a ball game and get to control things where he has not been able to do that a lot of this season. 1-2 to Phillips to stay high and even our counts. There's hints that Florence might start to warm a man up out there in the left field pen. And it does look like they are going to start to 22? Get a man loose. I believe it is Evie Rubio. Pitch inside on Phillips, not by much, but it is. Takes this count to full. Tell you, tonight might have one of the craziest college football matchups of the entire season. Vanderbilt's at Hawaii, and it's sold out at Hawaii. And then I guess we had, Nebraska, Northwestern, and Ireland today? What a strange day to start off that season, too.
Yeah, the Big Ten Conference kicking things off. I mean, this is almost like watching the Big Ten Conference of independent baseball, right? When it comes to
I would say so.
Yeah. Well, that's the Big Ten expert down the way.
3 balls, 2 strikes for Dakota Phillips. A heavy shift in order.
Big Ten Conference of independent baseball.
Hard hit to the first baseman, into the glove, and Johnson's just going to step on first himself for out number 1. Right fielder Elijah McNamee steps up next, and I think we have an answer from our Big Ten expert.
Nah, he said it's more probably on the level of Pac-12/Big 12.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it because we don't have the TV deal like the Big Ten
Yeah,
does?
I guess it's the media rights. I don't know.
It has to be.
Right fielder 9, Elijah McNamee.
Well, the former Mississippi State man is searching for his namesake. Big hit Mac. 0 for 2 on the day so far. Takes a first pitch strike on the inside half. A little frustrated there, but we'll now have to regroup. Next pitch stays well outside and evens his count up 1-1. Seems more and more in these last few weeks, Elijah McNamee more than happy to stay patient and make a pitcher come to him. 1-1 to McNamee. Another great pitch from Ovalle that falls in for a called strike 2. It looks like it's going to come in and hit these righties, and then it falls into the zone.
Then you get yourself in trouble because you start anticipating, like, okay, I know this is going to break and fall back in. And then that's when he comes with, the fastball that doesn't, and you're out in front swinging.
Softball right back up towards Ovalle. The throw to first is wide, and McNamee's going to get himself potentially some extra bases. He's rounding towards second now. Ball's picked up, thrown across the diamond. It's not in time, and that is a huge break for the Otters.
He was going so fast, his shin guard flew off between first and second, but And McNamee almost got hit with that throw. He kind of ducked a little bit to get out of the way of it. And now with one out, with the sack fly as an option.
Well, then the first baseman, Axel Johnson, started running towards it, lost his footing for a second, and he stopped and let the second baseman run out and make the play. And that opened the door for McNamee to grab the extra base. So Jeffrey Baez at the plate now. The pitch to him is sent foul behind home. He's looking for his second RBI of the day.
Brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best. Never regret.
I have no idea if it's something that Baez desires or, happy, not happy with it. He's had a couple of games off because of the success of Rosario, and maybe that's what he needed. A couple of days to rest the body. He looks really good in tonight's game so far. 0-1 outside, just barely grabbed by Harper. It keeps our count even at 1-1.
On that last pitch, McNamee kind of did a little stutter step to kind of maybe get in the eye line of Ovalle on the mound, forcing him to maybe overthrow with that slight distraction.
One the count for Baez. Chases one low and away, and with it falls back in the count 1-2. Do have a final for you, by the way, up there near Chicago. Windy City, 5-0 winners at home against Joliet. Slammers are getting awfully close to that dreaded tragic number right now. Been a rough stretch of baseball there for the Jailbirds.
Have you trademarked that yet? The tragic number?
I haven't yet. 1-2 to Baez. Stays outside. And with it, our count evens. Jacob Bowles continues to warm for the Otters in the right field pen right now. As does Evie Ruibel out in the left field pen for Florence. Baez hits one right at the shortstop Chavez. Then they'll get McNamee between third and home. The throw to home now. Now they'll relay towards third. McNamee dives in. Is he going to be safe? No, they call him out. McNamee and McCauley cannot believe it. And as you can probably hear, Bossy Field not too happy either.
That was some crazy baseball right there, and I thought he was going to have a chance. Because you knew, regardless, getting into that pickle rundown, that was going to allow Baez to keep going, at least get into scoring position at second, which he did. But for second, with McNamee getting around the third baseman, Flette, you thought maybe the Otters were going to have second and third. And pretty much a nothing play for the Y'alls on a chance to maybe get it out. And they still did.
There's nothing that McNamee could have done any better. He ran that very well, and I mean, I'm guessing it is probably centimeters away from being safe there. I mean, that was a close play. So now a little pressure on the shoulders of Justin Felix. 2 outs, runner at second.
And Harper lunging and flying with all that catcher's gear on to get the tag down.
And try to tell us that this game doesn't mean anything to the Florence Y'alls. Because it sure means something with the commitment we see from some plays like that. First pitch to Felix and a hefty swinging strike one. Looked like he was anticipating a little bit. Was ahead of that one. Tri-City and New York continue to just hack and slash the baseball. They are tied at 10 runs apiece. Tri-City scored all 10 of their runs in the 6th and 7th inning combined.
Nice little football score. That game.
Pitch low and outside, evens the count for Felix. I'll tell you what, you're going to find out the teams that make the playoffs in the East will likely be Quebec, because they have a chance to clinch their spot tonight, and then it's the 2 teams who can hit the ball best, because none of those next 4 teams pitch exceptionally. They're all teams that rely on the hitting to get them going. If you're the team that scores the most runs in the next week, you're the team probably in the playoffs. Which, for a lot of baseball fans, that's exactly what they want to watch when they go to the ballpark. It's just 2 teams that are going to hack and slash. That's what you're getting out of those guys.
That's what you get nowadays. That's why a lot of people want the American League style, and eventually now the National League has adopted those rules.
Pitch taken on the outside edge for ball 2. Now, see, I'm an American League guy, have been my whole life, so I'm a fan of the DL, or the DH. You, as a National League guy, most of your life, probably against it.
I mean, I get it, because most of the time you're not going to see the pitcher make too many offensive contributions, usually bunting, unless you're Madison Bumgarner.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I do miss kind of the strategy that comes involved when you came to that spot in the lineup. It kind of really made the managers manage the game at that point.
Yeah, the whole decision to pinch hit and then put a new pitcher in, that, I mean, it added a lot.
You know, kind of making those double switches, which kind of rearranged the lineup at times. I do kind of miss that.
And stepping out is Felix after Ovalle stepped off and reset. This could be a absolutely huge at-bat in the grand scheme of this game. Wind continues to blow in quite heavily from now dead center field. There goes Baez on the 2-2. It stays outside, and the Otters have a man 90 feet away.
Just good awareness. Realizing that Flette not really paying attention as much to the runner as he probably should have, not staying as close to the bag as he should have left that opening.
That's why you
kind of a risky move.
That's why you don't see a throw down. There was no one there ready. What a season Baez has had on the base paths, by the way. Been a lot of fun to watch him steal bases on a good occurrence. 24 now in the season for him.
And you thought we were just telling stories to you at the beginning of the season.
3-2, called strike 3. Felix will sit down with a strikeout. And with it, we head to the 7th inning. Still tied at 3 runs apiece. Sitting here as we enter the back third of this ball game, and it's time for a new pitcher for Evansville. Jacob Bowles gets the nod out of the right field bullpen. I won't sugarcoat it. It was a rough outing for Jacob Bowles at Washington. Came in, faced just 3 batters, walked 2 of them, hit the 3rd, but he redeemed himself against Joliet earlier this week. Went 1 full inning, striking out 2 of the 3 guys he saw. The other one was a quick ground out, and he's back where he wants to be, ready to enter this game now. 34 appearances now for him on the season. And he has been fun to watch become more and more consistent throughout the season. Call the Bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It is Bowles on the mound, Felix behind the plate. Pitcher Catcher Battery sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Bowles, another USI guy, another guy who had an older brother actually who was part of the national championship team there in 2014. Ready for Rodney Tinney's next at bat. First pitch works inside and actually hits him, and he's not feeling too hot after that one. Took a few steps towards first, then started working his way back towards behind home plate. Now we'll jog down to first.
Back to the top of the order, shortstop set, Alfredo Chavez.
Jogging out's going to be the trainer just to keep an eye on things.
Before that pitch, I was about to say, yeah, USI guys are kind of taking over the ballpark now, aren't they?
Sure feels like that, doesn't it? It was one of the things Gossman mentioned to us again in that same game. He said he came over here, had his one opportunity, and absolutely loved it. Said, I love pitching for this team. I love pitching in this ballpark. And he said he immediately called Jacob Bowles and said, Bowlesy, you've got to get over here. This is a ton of fun to play here. It feels like a good community. And Jacob Bowles came over, and now the two of them are some of the stars of this team.
Those two. Of course, we had Bryce earlier on the season. Chavarria a couple years ago, just in terms of actual players. Now, in terms of our staff, we got KJ back here. He's a USI guy. You're a USI guy. Lucas and Mark, also in operations.
Taylor, one of our...
Taylor, yes.
Zane, our public address announcer. Jordan, our video board operator.
And
now you finally.
And last month I just joined, yes.
Finally brought you to the west side.
West side, best side, that's what I've heard.
There you go. But you're still against the term Skriegel.
Yeah, Skriegel, Humpskrieg's, no. No.
It's an acquired taste for the couple people who like it. For everybody else, it just
from my understanding, it's more of an academic side in terms of the marketing that they want to promote. The athletic side would rather just go with Scream Eagles or Eagles. Go USA, yeah. So
there are people who love the Skrieg's name, and some people who really just can't do it. I hear sources saying that we should get to see the Screaming Eagles here at this ball field later this year in their charity event.
Yes, so the Frederick's Ataxia charity event that has been postponed, I guess you would say, the last few years due to the pandemic and COVID and safety protocols. But bringing that back, there was a chance that it wasn't going to happen at least at Bossy Field this year, but that has now changed. So being able to put that fundraiser on. It was a big event those first couple of years when you had the likes of IU, Notre Dame come down and play. Coach Darshalesh does a great job, and of course he's very involved with trying to raise money for Frederick's Ataxia awareness. And I believe this year the matchup is against Kent State, so maybe not quite the power conference, but a good matchup nonetheless. And it's always, to me, my favorite thing when I obviously was on this end working that charity game in October a few years ago. October baseball at Bossy Field, it feels right. I mean, there's something about October baseball. Normally we don't have it, but for that one game we do, and it's a comforting experience.
And it's so cool for some of those guys that have got to play here in high school, and then if maybe they get to play here in college, and then if you're lucky enough to get to play here professionally, you kind of come full circle. And some of those guys say that there's no other place they'd rather play after getting to spend so much time here.
Because normally when you say October baseball, you think of MLB in their postseason. It would be cool to kind of have that.
Ball chopping up towards Khalil to second for one. The relay to first in time. And that'll certainly do.
Yeah, that'll work. I'll come in and get the job done. And just to finish that point, of course, for the French League, they would have to kind of push back their start of the season in order to go in October, which I'm sure they never want to do again after they had to do that a little bit last year. And I'm sure Zane Clodfelter would not like to push back the season any further into college football season, and
But boy, wouldn't that be fun?
that would be fun though.
Play some weeknight October baseball games.
The crisp air of
I don't know if I
October.
could do a snow game like some of the MLB games I've seen in the last few years, but that might be too much.
You kind of start the game maybe wearing a T-shirt, and then you end the game in a hoodie, and like I said, that crisp fall air. Get the rally towels out.
The guys have the playoff beards going.
Oh yeah.
Might need to talk to the guys up top in the Frontier League now. Ball fouled off to the left side.
Well, Austin Gossman has declared himself. Now, he hasn't specified in what capacity or specialty area, but a commissioner of the Frontier League. He's declared that up here in the press box. So I don't know if he's made the players commissioner, how that kind of works out.
Maybe he's the representative for the unofficial players association.
Yeah, unofficial, very, very, very for sure. But
they're certainly not.
Now in his second year, he feels like he can represent the players very well. The one thing about Jacob Bull's pitching here is he has 2 strikes. He's kind of wanting to run into some walk issues this year, and I'll never forget last year he first came to the Otters, kind of struggled a little bit, didn't really have that strikeout pitch, and pitching coach Max Pearson made one adjustment with him, kind of moved him on the rubber just an inch, based on how he kind of has that 3/4 release, as that one almost clipped Harper, and it's 1-2. And it's amazing. Just moving him that 1 inch on the rubber made all the difference. And he really lighted up the rest of the way.
He can also fool some of these batters because he has like 4 different windups.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a quick step back. Sometimes a really slow. Sometimes there's no step back at all. 1-2 works high and in, goes off the butt of the bat. The throw to first is going to be late, and it's a convenient little single there that goes off the knob of the bat.
How odd is that? Normally you see off the knob, it's a foul ball. That stayed in play, went perfectly up the line like you would normally want to place a bunt.
And it died. I mean, a
tough play for Phillips at third. Just unlucky.
And this is the scenario. If you have played Florence this year,
you hold your breath if you're an Otters fan.
Yeah, a little scared here. One of the best bats in the Frontier League. He's got a man on in front of him and 2 outs.
And, of course, you get the left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher.
First pitch to Brennan Price. Wheels up on that pitch, but sends it foul to the left side for strike 1.
And Bowles has to breathe a sigh of relief because I think he knows he kind of got away with a mistake. And gets the foul ball to get the strike.
Oh, 1 for Brennan Price. Bowles kicks and delivers, and it's launched high, but not very deep to the left side. Khalil dropping back towards the lip, and that's where he brings it in for out number 3. Takes a knee as he brings it in. We are on to the bottom of the 7th inning, still tied at 3 runs apiece on the Otters Digital Network. And as we head to the bottom half of the 7th, we have a new pitcher. On for the Florence Yalls, Evie Rubio gets the nod out of the left field bullpen. Rubio in his 15th appearance of the year, 1.17 ERA. This is exactly what you expect for Rubio. Come into a game that's tied, keep it that way. I'm sure that's the hope for Ryan White, Eric Minshaw, and this entire Florence coaching staff. So this call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs.
You have a new right fielder, Lennon Weaver. Ronnie Tinney not able to continue after his last at-bat.
Hopefully that's just a precautionary thing. Weaver will also fit into that 9-hole in the batting order as well.
And we are thankful that our home plate umpire, Preston Childers, pointing that out to us with the long range over the top point toward right field, because sometimes you get those umpires that don't really signal those substitutions. And if you're not paying attention, you can miss them.
Even if you are paying attention, you might just miss
You still
them.
might miss them. Yeah. It's kind of hard to see sometimes those three outfielders. Sometimes they kind of look the same.
Andy Armstrong, George Khalil, and Miles Gordon due up for the Otters here in the 7th. Andy Armstrong waiting on his first pitch from Rubio. It's in for a called strike. Evie Ruibal has been incredibly consistent this year for Florence. Trying to attack the zone on an 0-1, and it's pushed to the right side into the glove of Johnson. He'll underhand it to the pitcher, Ruibal. And that'll be good for out number 1. George Khalil heading to the plate now with 1 out.
Had to give a round of applause to Zane Clodfelter, our P announcer. Not on the mic, just up here in the press box, channeling his inner Angelo. Which, for a lot of people, they don't probably understand that reference, but he did pretty good. It was pretty spot on.
First offering to the Australian, George Khalil. Taken for a called strike 1. I'll say it for my usual partner, Bill McEwen. Crocodile George looking for his first hit of the day. The 0-1 to George Khalil. And a half-hearted swing results in strike 2.
Former South Carolina Gamecock. We had a few South Carolina guys make their way through Evansville here the last couple of years.
That's a tough place to play because not only are you on a talented roster, you're facing off against very talented rosters.
Yeah, the SEC, yeah.
0-2 to Khalil. A half swing. He did go around, though. And it will be a strikeout for Ruibal, his first of the game. Back to the top of the order we go to the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Miles Gordon. He's 0 for 2 with pop outs, a line out, and a sacrifice bunt. First pitch to Gordon, taken for a called strike. I don't know if they're new, but those are significantly white cleats for Miles Gordon, which I think in and of itself is an accomplishment to keep cleats that white.
Scrubbing bubbles. That's the trick.
Called strike will drop Gordon back 0-2 in the count.
Get some paper towel, washcloth, however you can. Spray a little throwing bubbles and start scrubbing, and does a pretty good job. Eventually, though, after so many tarp pulls, my last pair of shoes, the scrubbing bubbles just didn't quite work.
I mean,
So then I went and just bought a new pair.
There's only so much you can do to combat the old red dirt. I guess one way you could combat that is just working for a team that doesn't have to pull tarp, like the Florence Yalls, who made sure to, grab us on Twitter last night for our sprinklers causing a couple second interruption. I don't know. It's hard to beat natural surface, though. I'm a sucker for the way baseball started and should be played. Again, we see Ruibel catch a man really lost on a pitch. Back-to-back strikeouts in the 7th inning. We're still looking for a hero in this one. To the 8th inning we go, tied at 3 runs apiece.
Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network is brought to you by Bud Light.
Tell you what, not often you get to involve the technical producer in the show. And
He can do it all. We only hire true professionals.
I don't think
here.
there's anything he can't do.
Only true professionals here.
Ray Zuber kicking off the half inning for the Yalls. They'll be followed by Stern and Johnson. First offering after the 1-0 is driven out towards right. McNamee seems to be underneath it, and he is indeed for the first out of the inning. Second time Zuber's hit a ball hard out to right today. The wind's certainly not helping now.
Yeah, and he hasn't quite barreled one up. He's taking some good swings, but he hasn't barreled it up yet. It's really been kind of on the inside handle part of the bat.
I'm sure the Otters won't complain about that.
Which works out well as a pitcher. You're pitching that location to make bad contact anyway.
Ethan Stern getting set at the plate. First pitch home to him. He's showing bunt, pulls away. It's a called strike anyway. Nobody warming for Evansville, but there is an arm up for the Yalls out and left. Looks like it could be the lefty Kent Kleiman. 0-1 stays too far low and evens our count at 1-1 for Stern. Have a couple of final scores, by the way. New Jersey did defeat Trois Rivières on the road 10-8. High inside pitch, good for ball 2. And actually, I think that win from New Jersey might actually pop them up to 6th in the division.
Oh,
The first time they've made movement in a while. And New Jersey was on the ropes. A loss tonight would have potentially eliminated them from playoff contention.
tell you what, when we saw them opening weekend, we thought they were going to be a completely different team.
Ball fouled away, takes our count to 2-2.
Which, with 1 week left here in the regular season, has the season gone by fast or slow?
It's been incredibly fast. I mean,
Feels like a long time ago since Jersey was in town.
I don't know. That Canadian road trip feels like it was just yesterday. Ball barreled towards Khalil. He brings it into the glove and over to first. Just barely hanging onto the bag was Biermann. Must have had a little super glue on that left cleat. And it's out number 2.
First baseman to Axel Johnson.
Because when all the days just start kind of blending together, it goes quick. And then you got the long off season to wait and wait for next May.
And who knows what this league could look like next year.
Yeah,
I guess that's part of the excitement of independent baseball.
I'm sure there'll be some changes.
Axel Johnson ready for his first offering. Zooms the
Wow.
ball to the right, but he was a little too far ahead of it.
Just a little bit.
Because of it, it's headed towards the Ohio River.
Turn that one around quickly.
If you happen to be listening from your front porch within the next half block south of us, look outside. Might have a souvenir in the front yard.
That one definitely made its way toward the railroad tracks.
0-1 the count for Axel Johnson. Leaves this one alone for ball 1 low. Taking his time is Jacob Bulls. Finally fires home. The 1-1 sit on the ground towards Armstrong. He backhands it. The throw over to first. Accurate and in time for out number 3. We head to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Still looking for the hero. Don't go anywhere. Bottom of the 8th comes at you next. Bottom of the 8th inning. Evansville brings Rosario, Biermann, and Phillips to the plate. Honestly, if you were to ask me the 3 I want coming into the plate with a chance to win the game, those are the 3 I want.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Have this part of the lineup being here in the clutch, hopefully pushing the Otters ahead in this inning. And as you said, in need of a hero right now for the Otters.
As per usual, the Otters start to warm up 2 different arms in a situation like this. Jake Polancic is the one that's actively throwing, but also ready to throw if need be is Logan Sawyer. Switch hitting Brian Rosario, set to kick off the half inning. 0 for 3, due for something in this game. First offering to the plate. Taken for a called strike one. A good pitch there from Ruibel to bring it back in. There's a look down towards the Otters bullpen. Phenomenal appearances, by the way, from Jake Polancic recently. Dig more into that in a little bit. 0-1 to Rosario. Stays low and evens his count up. Both pitchers here recently have been kind of going with this attack the zone, get that first pitch strike, and then try to get the man to chase low. And batter's starting to hop on the trend a little bit. A 1-1 to Rosario. Swinging strike two. Swung right over the top of that pitch. Some very important at-bats here for both squads, but especially a couple of these Evansville bats who are in a position to potentially set up Logan Sawyer to close this out in the top of the ninth instead of later. Swinging strike three will sit down Brian Rosario with the first out of the inning, and that, dating back to last inning, is 3 straight strikeouts for Evie Rubiel. So to the lefty first baseman we go. Zach Biermann heading to the plate. Biermann in the game is 0 for 2, a strikeout, a pop out, and a walk. First pitch heads home, high outside, ball 1. Does look like it continues to be climbing, warming for Florence, the 6'7 lefty. 1-0 pitch to Biermann. Again, stays on the outside for ball 2. A 2-0. Zoomed out towards right. Weaver working back towards it. The ball dies and he brings it in for out number 2. Another great piece of contact hitting from Zach Biermann, and it just dies when it gets in the air. 4th or 5th time that's happened this week.
You kind of had a sneaky suspicion that he's going in this kind of situation late in the game, 2-0, he was going to let one go. He gave it a big ride, but like you said, the wind just kind of knocking it down out there in right field.
I thought for sure if it was going to be caught, it would have been closer to the warning track, and I think Weaver did too. He took off after that and then suddenly stopped. So that will now bring up Dakota Phillips. 2 outs, bases empty. First pitch is high and outside, and it will bounce all the way out towards third base where Flette had been charging in towards it. We're ready for the 1-0. A lot of quick outs in this game. It seems that the innings your offense is not going, it is not going. One 0 offering to the catcher Dakota Phillips. Sorry, third baseman Dakota Phillips. So used to Phillips being behind the dish from earlier this year.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, okay, we've worked him back into view at third base here today in today's game. Does he sneak back behind the plate before season's end?
An even 1-1 to Phillips. Pushed out towards right, and if we got a car in the parking lot, might check it for a souvenir underneath.
As long as it's not mine, which I think I'm in the clear.
One ball, 2 strikes for Phillips now.
Now Zane G he's in a danger area. Now he's never been hit, but he puts it right there in the danger area.
Let's try again. The 1-2 pitch to Phillips. A half swing, and they punch him out. It's a called strike 3. The Otters go up 3, down 3 in this 8th. We're on to the 9th inning, still tied at 3. And as we head to the top of the 9th inning, a new pitcher in for Evansville. It will be Jake Polancic who gets the nod out of the right field pen. Call to the bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Polancic on the mound, Felix behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery. Sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. I'm told that you need to let them know that Zane from the Otters sent you.
That's funny because I told him Matthew from the Otters sent me.
Well, that's not good.
And I got, no, they gave me great service.
Oh,
so maybe it's when you tell them that Zane sent you that they kind of hesitate. Like,
I guess I get that.
just giving Zane a hard time.
He
He likes to dish it to others, so we like to dish it back.
That is fair. Bottom 3 of the order due up for Florence. Bryant Flette, Wady Almonte, and then the new bat who entered in that last half inning, Lyndon Weaver. First pitch is outside for ball 1. Jake Polancic has put himself out as one of the best relievers in this entire league recently. Ball sent really shy to right field and brought in by the second baseman Armstrong for out number 1. I would guess Flette didn't love the contact he made.
Made the Bat Boys' job easy. Didn't have to go as far.
This is true.
Center fielder, 6, Wadi Almonte.
So as Wadi Almonte heads to the plate, wanted to give you a little more about Jake Polancic. In his last 12 appearances, he's clocked 18 and 2/3 innings in that time. And in those innings, allowed no runs on 5 hits, given up 10 walks, but he's bounced back with 27 strikeouts. Anytime you can go 12 appearances, almost 20 innings without a run given up, gotta feel good.
He
0-1.
He was one of the first, might have been the first new signing for the Otters last offseason. I mean, even before the end of the calendar year back in the fall. Bringing his experience from the American Association with him. Oh.
And he's just been one of numerous good signings for this Otters team. Of course, a lot of the other great signings have found their way to affiliated ball, and Polancic probably not far behind if he continues to pitch at the level he has. 1-2 home. Swinging, strike 3. Just like that, 2 outs at the top of the 9th. Threw that one home with authority.
Yeah, you heard the pop of the mitt when that one connected with Felix.
So, as we ready for the 2-out offering, it's a Lyndon Weaver. We get a called strike to kick things off. Coming in just a few steps is Dakota Phillips over there at third. Talk about a stressful situation. 2 outs, top of the ninth, and you're still looking for your first professional hit. Ball is sent foul to the right side. Biermann running that way, and he will run out of room. Count drops to 0-2 now. And a chance for Polancic to make very quick work of this ninth inning. Polancic takes a second, has the decision with his catcher Felix as the 0-2 comes home. Fouled back into the netting and played down back towards the Otters dugout.
Just to let you know, if that netting was there, I would have got it.
I have total faith.
Yeah. It was coming right at me. I would have protected the camera first, actually.
Let's try again on the 0-2. And again, it's fouled back. Good work from Weaver to keep himself alive right now. Looks like the entire bullpen staff standing up for Florence down there near the left field. 0-2's half swung on. Did he go? Yes, he did. And Polancic strikes out 2 of the 3. We're on to the bottom of the ninth. Otters just need 1 run to win this one. Don't go anywhere. Hopefully the conclusion comes at you next. Bottom of the ninth, all comes down to this. Kent Kleiman will enter the game for Florence, trying to keep Evansville from walking this one off. Kleiman, a 6'7" lefty out of NC State. It's called to the bullpen, presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Kleiman on the mound, Harper behind the plate. Pitcher Catcher Battery, sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East. Located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Otters have McNamee, Baez, and Felix due up. They just need 1 run to finish this thing off. Both squads have had opportunities in this one. Neither has struck recently, though. McNamee has reached once today. It was on an error in the 6th. He got all the way to 3rd. That was a 1-out man on 3rd situation that the Otters could not capitalize on. First pitch to Elijah McNamee. Low inside, ball 1. Resetting on the mound is Kleiman. Lefty throws one home. Inside, a swinging strike one evens our count. And now after facing righties all night long, the mentality changes in this ninth inning, having to go up against the lefty. One, low and outside. McNamee ahead in the count, 2-1. Nobody out, nobody on, starting off this bottom of the ninth. Foul tips one off the mask of Harper. With it, the count evens. Big chance for Evansville to pick up what could be a big win down the stretch. 2-2 to Elijah McNamee. Sent out towards left center. Chasing in is Almonte. He will be the one to bring it in for the first out of the inning. So Jeffrey Baez, who has had a pretty successful return to the lineup tonight, heads to the plate. Had an RBI double in the second. Struck out in the fifth prior to a fielder's choice in the sixth where he got on base with the throwouts of Elijah McNamee. Had a stolen base that got himself on third, but he could not be brought home either. First pitch to Jeffrey Baez. Inside, ball one. Just about hit him. The 1-0 to Jeffrey Baez. Good for a called strike. Our count is even. A 1-1. Finds the zone on the inside for a called strike two. And with it, a little extra pressure now applied to Jeffrey Baez. And because of it, Kent Kleiman's going to step off and reset. A 1-1 home to Baez, or 1-2 home to Baez. And Shirley thinking he got a strikeout was Harper. He did not. Instead, the count evens up at 2-2 now. I think Kent Kleiman thought he had got himself out of the at-bat as well there. Standing on deck is Justin Felix. Two to Baez. Low inside, and we're going to have a full count. Neither bullpen working now. As the 3-2 comes home to Jeffrey Baez. Swinging strike three on an inside pitch. And the Otters, 2 up, 2 down in the ninth. Kind of looked like he had made up his mind he was going to swing there, and because of it, couldn't really put a competitive swing up to the plate. That's an unfortunate one.
Got the fastball, but it's a location underneath the hands that tied him up, and he couldn't do anything with it in terms of making contact.
So that sends Justin Felix to the plate with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth inning. First pitch to Felix, pushed foul to the right side.
Over at foul ball brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best. Never regret.
Kent Kleiman getting set for the 0-1 pitch home. A hefty swinging strike 2 will drop back Felix to an 0-2 count. Otters trying to avoid their second extra innings bout of the week. Oh, 2 to Felix. Inside, and he'll live to see another pitch. One ball, 2 strikes to Justin Felix. 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Felix foul tips it back towards Harper. He can't apply the squeeze, so we will stay even at 1 ball, 2 strikes and try it all again. Does look like we could have a pinch hitter as well, as I see J.R. Davis getting set there right next to the on-deck circle for Evansville. The 1-2 home. Stays inside. Good work from Felix to lay off a couple of close pitches.
Especially that last one, as we've seen some of the close ones down in the zone get called for strikes here throughout the night.
But he's been gifted another pitch. We'll see what he can do with it. A 2-2 home. Swinging strike 3. It's going to need extra innings tonight. Don't go anywhere. 10th innings coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network. Top of the 10th inning on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. 9 not enough tonight. For the second time in this homestand, Evansville is going to have to try to figure things out in added time, if you will. The post-game fireworks will have to wait a bit.
Lyndon Weaver's the runner at second to start the international tiebreaker inning.
The infamous question, do you start off the inning with the sacrifice bunt to move the guy into scoring, then to third base? It's the leadoff man, Alberti Chavez, who leads things off.
Coda's ready for it. He's on the grass.
By the way, it is Polancic that's remaining out there for the Otters. They didn't even warm anyone up. They had no intentions on going away from their great reliever. First pitch home. Misses inside for ball 1. That one seemed like Plancic was just a little too worried about the man behind him. Is a man starting to warm for Florence.
At 25.
1-0 to Chavez. He extends the hands. Swings through for strike one.
Their closer, I think.
Yeah, it does look like it could be Joe Doherty, the 6'3" righty out of Valparaiso, Indiana.
Home of the Beacons now.
That's right, Beacons. Count even at 1-1 for Alberti Chavez. Pitch comes home. It's off the handle of the bat, and that takes away any opportunity to bunt, even though it looked like Chavez really had no intentions.
It's also the hometown of former Florence broadcaster Alex Coyle, who's now working with the Memphis Redbirds this season. Good friend of ours here at Bossy Field.
Counts at 1-2 for the leadoff man, Alberti Chavez. Ghost runner at second is Lyndon Weaver. 1-2 home. Stays inside, and our count's evened up. If Florence can get that to bite just a little bit more, it could be really dangerous. But both times he's thrown it, it's stayed a little too far inside for him. A 2-2 for Chavez. Pushes one out towards right. Biermann chasing after it in foul territory. He will run out of real estate, however, and it'll bounce up into the stands. Even at 2-2 is Alberti Chavez. Runner at second, nobody out. Jake Polancic gets set, fires home. On the 2-2, it's inside again. A wonderful stop from Felix is certainly what's going to keep the runner at second. The pressure now on with the full count for Chavez. A 3-2 home. Pushed foul to the right side. Just barely getting a piece of that with Chavez. He waited almost too long.
For Polancic now in his second inning of work, the one thing you really, as an Otters fan, don't want to see is him having this long first at-bat battle to start the inning, where it becomes kind of a, obviously a high-stress situation, but kind of a laborious at-bat with the number of pitches being thrown, again, his second inning of work.
Let's try it again. The 3-2 payoff pitch to Alberti Chavez. Off the handle of the bat towards Khalil at short. He'll pick it up. The throw over to first is in time. That's going to work just like a sacrifice bunt.
Took a lot more pitches, probably even Florence wanted, but they got the job done. So in a way, it's a win-win for them because they moved the runner over, and again, they made Polancic throw a lot of pitches in that first at-bat. That forces Evansville to bring the infield in with that runner as the starting ghost runner for the inning in a way. Now 90 feet from home, and now, of course, representing the go-ahead run.
Luke Harper at the plate. The catcher's first pitch is taken with a swing for strike one. And in the on-deck circle, Brendan Price, who will surely look to either be the one to make the difference or add to the difference, depending on what happens in this at-bat for Harper. An 0-1 pitch. Misses on the inside and evens our count up. Be honest, a little surprised we didn't see Augie Gallardo start to warm in this 10th just in case he was needed. 1-1 home. Stays low for ball 2. Defense all playing in. As the 2-1 pitch comes home to the catcher, Harper. Fouled back into the netting. That's an important one to get for Plancic. It won't matter too much if Evansville can't get business done here, but Gateway did finish a 3-2 win at Schaumburg. Gave up 2 ninth-inning runs, but were able to close it out. So this game becomes a little more important for Evansville. 2-2 to Harper. Called strike 3. Big time German American Bank strikeout for Jake Plancic. But you can exhale that breath and now take a new one in as Brendan Price heads to the plate. Can dramatically change the outcome of this game with one swing of the bat. But prior to his at-bat, a discussion will take place between Max Peterson and his entire infield. Still nobody warming for Evansville.
I think this is more of asking the players what they want to do maybe in the situation.
That's true. I mean, would you
rather battle the next guy type of situation, you know?
Ray Zuber is the next man up. Well, at least right now, it looks like Brendan Price is going to get an at-bat here.
It's back to be.
And time is called, and now
wasn't really quite in position as he is had a quick conversation in center field with Miles Gordon, who was sprinting back to right field.
Now we're ready for the first pitch to Brendan Price. Taken for a called strike 1.
What a challenge on that pitch.
That's gutsy.
Plancic going mano a mano on that first pitch to Price. I like it.
Because right away you've now put the pressure on Price. He's already back in the count. An 0-1 now for Brendan Price. Swinging strike 2. That was a swing he wanted to make up for the last pitch with.
Back-to-back fastballs right at him.
And that swing has ignited a little bit of energy into Bossy Field, I'd say. Got a little bit rowdy after that swinging strike. Plancic trying to end this top half of the 10th. An 0-2 home. Just misses on the inside.
Otters dugout going to their knees as how close that pitch was. Because even though Price kind of bent out of the way, making it look like it was farther inside, it wasn't that far off the inside part of the plate.
The 1-2 for the big bat of Brendan Price. Foul tipped into the netting. Price will live to see another one. Otters trying to take sole possession of second place. This Y'all's team trying to hold them from it.
Otters and Plancic just challenging the bat speed and the swing speed of Price. They know if they slow the pitch velocity down, he has the power naturally to take one out. They're trying to blow it by him.
1-2, a half swing. They'll check down. No, he did not. And this place is not happy.
The crowd is beside themselves. But that's exactly what they're trying to do. They don't think he has the swing speed to catch up to Polensic's fastball. That's why it's been repetitive, pitch after pitch.
Well, and more than anything, Polencic is confident in his ball, and that's probably the most important thing. The 2-2 to Price. Fouled off again. Wonderful example of a hard-earned at-bat going on right now. A true battle between pitcher and batter. So we will try it again. A 2-2 offering to Brendan Price. 2 outs. The go-ahead run at third. In first, Polencic will step off.
And with that last pitch being fouled off, the ballpark radar gun picked up the foul ball, not the pitch. I'm sure Yacker Tech had the actual velocity on that one.
2-2. Called strike 3. Jake Polencic says, see you later. We go to the 10th. The home half. Evansville going to try to walk this one off. To the bottom of the 10th we go. Evansville with a chance now to walk it off after a phenomenal at-bat, or I guess battle, I guess you'd say, for Jake Polencic against Brendan Price. He went up onto the mound and said, I'm not afraid of that bat, and attacked it every time.
Yeah, just attacked it. Truly believe that Price was going to catch up if he did swing at it. And great work by our professionals here up here in the press box capturing that replay, especially getting the emotion and the expression on the face of Polencic after that strikeout. Great camera work, and we got true broadcast artiste up here.
So it is Justin Felix, our ghost runner, out at second. Andy Armstrong is the first man up, and I am sure the only thing on his mind is his bunt pop-out that happened a couple of nights ago in this exact same situation. That is what I'm sure he's trying to avoid here. He is showing bunt. Pitch comes home. It's popped up, and it's caught again. This one by Flette, and one of the best bunters in this league. For the second straight 10th inning, gets a little too underneath it. Not at all what Andy Armstrong was looking for. And it looks like unsure about things was the first baseman Axel Johnson as quickly.
It's like a stern. It looks like when he was going over to first to cover, as Johnson was coming in on the bunt, maybe he took a little misstep and got the cleat caught a little bit.
Could be part of that thing about, you're a team that doesn't play on natural surfaces very often. You're used to the even turf. In a situation like this, that's probably the last thing you're worried about. We are going to see a pinch hitter now. George Khalil will be pinch hit for. It'll be J.R. Davis who steps in, and you can hear the love of the crowd. leads the team in RBIs. Be a great chance to add one more to the tally. If I didn't mention it in that prior at-bat, it is Justin Felix, the ghost runner at second. They're really working to keep him close. J.R. Davis ready for his first pitch. Game-winning run at second. And it's a called strike to start off the at-bat for Davis. Oh, 0-1 the count for J.R. Davis. No, 1 out. Bottom of the 10th inning. Winning run at second. Next pitch stays high above the elbows and maybe a bit outside as well. Evens the count for Davis. Count even. 1-1 for J.R. Davis. Pitch stays inside to advance him to 2-1. Logan Sawyer ready down in the right field bullpen if he's needed to start warming. Just in case we were to go to 11th. That would probably be the decision for Andy McCauley. Why not turn to one of the best pitchers in this league? Two-one count for J.R. Davis. Hit right back up the middle, through for a base hit. Felix is going to come around third. We're going to have a play at the plate. The throw's offline. The Otters win. J.R. Davis delivers in the bottom of the 10th inning. The win streak hits 5. The Otters take sole possession of second place in the West Division. There's not a lot of words you can say after something like that. It's the perfect time to bring in a guy like that, and he delivers in a huge situation.
Yeah, J.R. Davis, one of the best at putting the ball in play. In his experience, he knows the situation because he's been there before. He's come through as expected for the Evansville Otters. Big time win, not only tonight because of this one game, but also for the weekend, at least clinching the series win. And, of course, a chance to get all three made tomorrow.
One kind of unique when it's a firework night. You get the fireworks going off with the win. A great crowd is supporting you. You know, this is one that kind of felt like it needed to end this way. Evansville was able to finish their final home game here at Bosse Field in the way they certainly wanted. We'll go all the way back to the first inning to kind of break this one down for you. For the second straight night, it was Brennan Price who hit a solo home run, and we all kind of went, oh no, not again. But at the same time, we were able to go, you know, we saw this happen last night. The Otters bounce back, and there wasn't a lot of worry coming out of that first inning, I don't think.
No worry whatsoever. Managed very well by Gossman on the mound in terms of keeping his cool but limiting the damage and putting the trust in his team to have his back in the innings to come. And for Evansville, facing the early deficit, making the comeback, that's something they have done multiple times this year. No surprise. And basically from after that top of the second on, Evansville really played a really solid game. I know they had a couple miscues defensively, but really in terms of the approach offensively, the grit on the mound, it really stood out about the team here tonight.
The Otters gave up one more run in that top of the second on an error from Austin Gossman. It gave Florence a 2-0 lead. In the bottom half of the second, though, Evansville struck for the first time on a Jeffrey Baez RBI double. That 2-1 advantage would only last one inning when Dakota Phillips drove in two with a 2-run double, gave Evansville a 3-2 lead that they would hold for some time Then finally in the 6th inning, Florence evened things up. It was an RBI double from Axel Johnson that leveled our game at 3 runs apiece. That's where we sat for a long time. And then here in the bottom of the 10th inning with the ghost runner on second, the coaching staff opts to have J.R. Davis pinch hit, and he delivers once again an RBI single right back up the middle. The throw was off the line and easy for Felix to score on, and the Otters make it 5 straight wins. They're still in consideration for the West Division title. They now have sole possession of second, which, while you may think, why is that so important? Schaumburg has a game in hand, and this is now a big deal. You've been given this little bit of separation. This could be one of the biggest nights of the season for Evansville now.
Yeah, huge night. Of course, still a big week to come ahead, but just to kind of reemphasize, some people kind of question, why would you give J.R. Davis or some of the big bats a night off here? Of course, you're trying to get them rested up. You want to keep them at their peak going into the right time of the season, going into the postseason, and hopefully for the Otters. And the thing is, when you do have a guy like J.R. Davis on the bench, giving him a day off from at least the starting lineup, when it comes to a late game situation, you have a go-to bat, a big weapon really, that you can go to late in the game.
Want to give you a couple more updates from around the league, just so you're up to date on everything. Lake Erie, like we mentioned, did win 5-2 against Washington. Gateway won 3-2 at Schaumburg. The other game in the West Division, a 5-0 win for Windy City. They are in the 11th inning, playing a sudden death at Quebec. The Capitals are trying to claim the first playoff spot in the East Division. If you want to figure out if they get that one done or not, you'll have to keep an eye on the Frontier League's website later on in the evening. Do want to say a huge thank you to Preston Leinenbach for hopping on tonight. Hoping that Bill McCune will be back for tomorrow's game, taking another personal day today. But thank you for taking the time to come join us.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoy it. I didn't get too many opportunities to do this the last few years, so it was fun to hop on, put the headset on, and get to really watch the game and broadcast with you. It's fun. And hopefully the Otters can get a series sweep tomorrow, and we hope to see Bill McCune back here before the end of the regular season home schedule.
Yeah, tomorrow, the very final game of the regular season here at historic Bosse Field. First pitch is scheduled for 12:35, and the Florence Yalls and Evansville Otters will draw a close to their 3-game set. We'd love to see you at the ballpark. General admission tickets are just $2. You can sit anywhere in the ballpark with that ticket. For all of us here at the Evansville Otters, he's Preston Leinenbach. I'm Matthew Will, saying so long. We'll talk to you tomorrow as Evansville closes out the home regular season.